Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Casting the Spotlight episode number 168. And we return in solo form fashion. Yes. Ready to bring you another edition in this year 2025. We've been coming out the fucking the cannon in 2025 with some solos. A lot of new editions of the segment.
Yeah, the segment's a lot of fun, you know?
Yeah. It's nice too to get in here and, talk all of our shit and
There's a lot of stuff like in the early part of the year with like football and wrestling going on with like the road to WrestleMania and the playoffs, so it's just
we can kind of resume our day-to-day interests at more of a calm down rate than like say Halloween season or Christmas. You know what I mean? Like when things are just crazy and we have certain things we gear towards and guests and everything else. And we can come back in here and just kind of, get into what we want, but at like more of at our pace kind of thing. But that is kind of the case because even after the football season really slows down, then it's like, okay, well, we can kind of almost reset. Like it's almost like the new year for like the pod. It's like about what time we came back like a few years ago too. It's like March, like, early. And, because like that's the other thing. It's like about like this month, and then you got spring on the horizon. Like there's better weather coming up. First, you got to deal with a bunch of allergies. I believe you pointed that out on social media. I never really got that bad at allergies, so it's never really bothered me that much personally. But I know spring can be rough for that. I just hope that it doesn't rain the whole fucking time this year.
I know. Well, last April was rough for that. I remember that for sure. The rain sucks. That's like all of April. It feels like March. My allergies beat the fuck out of me. So spring is probably it's bottom tier for me most of the time. Because
we had some beautiful springs growing up though.
Spring.
We had some great springs growing up, like in school.
Maybe.
No, like it's only been like that for like the last 5-10 years. It's been kind of shittier here. Yeah. Well, no, but spring's not too bad. I would still put like Christmas is great, but like winter, it's fucking shitty. It's at the bottom. It's fucking horrendous. You can't do anything. It's nice to cozy up inside the blanket. You can do that during the fucking summer too if you want to.
And it's hot.
How you can sit inside the fucking air conditioning and chill and watch shit?
Sit in my fucking underwear with some gym shorts.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, but it's still more comfortable that way.
Oh, well, yeah. No,
in the summer.
But no, really, I mean, if you want to sit inside and do that any fucking season of the year, you can. It don't really fucking matter.
I mean, in the winter, it's cold as fuck.
Well, but, you can throw blankets on, and that's comfortable and shit.
Unless you got one of those in-house fucking...
People's argument with that doesn't make sense, because, it's nice because you can cozy up any time of the year.
Well, I just think working outside, winter, not as bad as summer.
Yeah.
Not as bad.
I mean... Well, the nice thing is like, whenever you're doing what you're doing... you're gonna be a little more like you've got movement, so you're not gonna be as cold even if it's cold.
That's the thing, at least for my job.
Because you're not gonna feel the cold.
I heat up and I can't cool down.
Yeah. Like if you were just doing something just fucking modest outside, like barely doing anything, and being outside, it's like that would be fucking miserable. You're not really using your body that much.
But in the winter, I have a pretty good time.
Yeah, but you're just sitting out there.
Yeah.
But you're moving and you're creating body heat too, and so you're like it's. I mean, I'm definitely not saying it wouldn't be challenging, but it definitely, I can see why it wouldn't bother you if you're constantly moving as opposed to just being out in the weather because you're out in the weather. You know what I mean? Because it's going to feel terrible. You're shaking my fucking bones right now. It's 6 degrees. Which sometimes we get here.
Oh,
see, that's what I fucking hate. I'm like, the thing is I don't like it, but I can deal with it. I just don't want to fucking deal with it. You know what I mean? I can. Most of my seasons have been here. 26 out of my 28, 29. You know what I mean? And even those years, I traveled back here during some portion of the winter, Mm-hmm. So I've mainly experienced our seasons, all of them anyway, most of my entire life. Even if there for a few years I didn't. At least to this point. But it's just, I don't know, it's just very uncomfortable. But now it's not too, you learn, regardless of what season it is, you learn how to deal with it. But I don't know. I would rather be sometimes the hot can be shitty because it's hard to get away from, but like, it's cold. Whenever it's cold, it just doesn't feel like anything's enjoyable. It's just like, oh man, this is fucking, you're just miserable.
I mean, if you're doing anything, here's the thing. It's a complete difference from summer to winter
job?
in the fact, with anything really, outdoors. If you're doing
Don't
shit
say the layers thing.
where you're moving around and you're like doing physical things,
Yeah.
it's better in the winter. And it's shittier in the summer. But if you have to stand still in the winter, it's fucking miserable.
Yeah.
But if you have to do it in the summer,
that's why
it's
like
not so bad.
the people that don't work outside are like, probably also like, not that it wouldn't be shitty anyway, but that's why it's like, oh man, it's fucking, because it's like even the people that like if you're not working outside and you're still like, oh, I don't mind it. It's like because you're inside all day long, fucking doing God knows what. You don't have to deal with it at all.
Yeah.
So it's like you might not like it, but like maybe you do like it, but it's not like that's why a few weeks ago we were talking about it. It was like negatives and like I was just like, all right, this is what you all wanted. Go out and play in it. You wanted it so bad. You're -6. All right, here you go. Winter. Oh.
That's extreme. That's what I call it.
That's what it is.
Winter. It's just like when we
It's
get to the
shitty.
hundreds in summer.
But
That's
we really don't
summer.
get,
or
we really
even
don't
not,
get there. But it's like the heat
90s
index
here is shitty.
Well, if the heat index is a lot, it probably isn't. Really isn't too bad. But it's like the places where it's like more of a dry heat, but like California, they're still dealing with like.
Yeah, so everything catches on fire.
I know. Well, that's the problem too. There's no moisture in the air. We don't get fires like that because there's always moisture because of the fucking humid summers we have. And also
that's
spring.
the double-edged.
But there's so much rain. Sorry, I fucking fluffed the mic there for a minute. Sorry for the viewers and listeners. But yeah, there's just so much rain that like, I think it just I don't know. It's always like that whenever it's fucking. So like if it's 93, it might feel like 103. You know what I mean here.
Yeah.
Whereas like a state less like moisturous due to the seasons might not feel like that because it's more of like but then in California and Arizona and places like that, Arizona's got their shit more figured out than Cali because that shit was burning down for like fucking months and they couldn't do anything about it. But
yeah,
I guess there's not a lot of trees in Arizona though.
Yeah, it's just
See, that would be a cool state to like go see everything,
It would be kind of neat. Yeah.
But I feel like it wouldn't be too bad.
I think desert states would be kind of cool.
I want to visit like New Mexico and fucking Arizona and that stuff. I would love to see what Kyle saw in like the Breaking Bad, like all that stuff that's down there. That would be fucking awesome. And like Better Call Saul and where all of his filmed. I would love to do something.
I'd like
that.
to visit like Albuquerque and Roswell and shit.
But not to, all that stuff with the seasonal bullshit aside. Regardless, fall's my favorite season, and I know we have common ground on that one.
Oh yeah.
It's not close because it's like it cools down a little bit, but you still have warm days and like the nights are just like cool.
It's just
it feels
the
good.
Most enjoyable outside.
You feel you can
day.
still do stuff outside because it's still pretty warm,
but
like it's not like overbearing.
And at night you just have to like throw a hoodie on, and you can enjoy it.
Yeah. But we got a new segment here.
Oh yeah.
A new fucking addition. Tonight's category is not for the faint of heart. It is sure as hell not going to be easy. But that's why Elijah's going first,
Yeah.
Because if we know one thing, he is decisive.
Oh yeah. That's one of my best
So this
traits.
should be a piece of cake. No. Hey, no, I'm pretty indecisive too about dumb things. Like I'm like, fuck, I can't even, It doesn't make any sense too because I'm like, some days when I'm off, I'm like, man, I don't know what shirt I'm gonna wear. Should I wear this? I haven't worn this in a while. I'm like, should I wear this? It's comfortable. It doesn't make any sense to even have a dilemma about it. Yeah. So sometimes it doesn't even. It's not even applicable to because it's things you shouldn't even have to think about that hard. But yet I still find myself in those. Or like if I'm looking at a drink menu, I'm like, dude, I want a beer. I was doing that last night. I was like, I couldn't decide. I was like, do I want a beer? Do I want a cocktail? Do I want a, I was like, I really couldn't figure it out. I was like, I even looked at the wine for a minute. I'm like, I don't know too much about wine. But I was like, damn, I was like, what am I feeling? Kind of celebrating my birthday week this past week.
Yeah.
I claimed it for myself. But it was
a section of days.
Yeah, it was fun. I felt one of those days, I think like right in the middle of it, I got like 11 hours of pretty much fully uninterrupted sleep. I felt fucking refreshed the next day. I felt great. It was like the first day I had felt like really, truly great in some time.
That's good.
But-
Sometimes, I mean, you don't sleep a whole lot, so that you probably need that. Sometimes if I get too much, I feel like shit the next day. I'm like, oh. If I get like 10 plus, it's done.
It's almost like whenever you get that amount of sleep, though, it's almost because you're deprived of it that you get that much.
Yeah.
It wasn't just because I was like, oh, I'm gonna sleep 8 hours, and then there was one night
You needed to just have a mini coma.
The last like probably 6 months to a year, I've been getting, instead of like 4, I've been trying to get like 6 to 8, and I have gotten some of those nights. Like I'll just lay down on the couch or whatever in my bed, and I'll just pass out like really early, like 8:30. 9, whatever, 9:30. And I consider that early, because most people would just consider that like, well, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm going to bed at 8, kind of thing. If they have to wake up at 4:30.
10:30 to 11, kind of guy.
Yeah, and see, I'll do that too, but then like last night, because I was on my days off, I ended up kind of feeling I wasn't even able to sleep until at least 12:30. And I threw on Summer Raw, because like I had caught some of it, like highlights and such. But I was like, I might as well throw it on and see how everything happened. But I only got like a little bit into it, but I just muted it and I was like, I'll let it play for a little while. And I just was not able to pass out, for a good length of time, which is always frustrating because you're laying there wasting time, ready to go to sleep, and you can't.
Oh yeah.
But the cycle I've been on since I've been off has been, some of the days I've woken up early, but I've also stayed awake late some of the nights, seeing movies, doing out to dinner, whatever. But it was fun. It was good. I don't want to mind the fact that I'm getting near and near to a milestone. But
close.
It is what it is, man. It's reality. We should all be living in, but some of us aren't. We'll tell you about that. But anyway, the new segment categories. So this is honestly what I've been looking forward to for a minute here. As far as the new segment goes, we're going to have the category tonight we drew is movie characters. So basically from anything, from everything, from series, from one-offs to whatever, but definitely identifiable and notable film movie characters, that are going to have a presence. Like you're going to pick, like we know some of each other's favorites, maybe not the top of the top. Hell, us ourselves may have never even broke down our own favorite movie characters ever, and much less try to compare them to some of the other ones.
Yeah.
So that's why this is going to be fucking difficult, because it's definitely a conversation. Like we talked about actors, we talked about series, we talked about certain, films and stuff like that, but comparing some of the best characters to one another, that's something that's like untouched territory to really like get into with some of these.
Yeah.
So, and that's the whole thing we got to decide. I haven't even told you my main yet, have I?
Nope.
Not even off air. And you gave me yours, okay. Well, so yours is gonna be Rocky Balboa in the Rocky series.
Let's do it.
So we got Rocky in the wall back here, one of the great quotes. And I know you're a big fan of the franchise, so...
Oh, yeah.
Fuck, I mean, you basically showed me the complete... I had seen, I think, like 1 and 3 separately before we watched them a few years ago, but I'd never watched them and watch them consecutively like that. Even some of them I may have flipped on, like DirecTV, whatever the fuck, and caught some of it back in the day. But I never actually sat down and watched any of them, except I believe the original way back when, and 3, because I remember Thunderlips and Hogan, like at least saw part of it. I want to say it was weird. It was a weird setting. I was visiting someone in the hospital, and that was the first time I saw 3. Or like at least most of it, because I remember seeing them on there and like watching them for a while and shit. So I'm like, I don't even know if that counts as fully seeing 3. And then we watched them all, and then I was more familiarized and became a big fan. I mean, I liked the character anyway, but this is about you.
He is a legendary character.
So, yeah, I was gonna say you were pretty high on. You're pretty high. I know you're high on like the first 4.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's a classic cinema character at this point. Sylvester Stallone created that guy,
Yeah.
Created him, he made him. He wouldn't let anybody else play him because they wanted him to sell the rights to the movies, but they didn't want him to play him, and he's like, I gotta play him, you know.
Well, he made the script. He wanted to do
his
everything.
Guy, you know.
He had to.
So
wouldn't have been
I
the same.
appreciated that, and yeah, it kind of became his thing. I mean, that and Rambo, those were like his known, like his big things. But Rocky, like, even for sports movies, you know, just a legend. And just movie characters in general, like some of the quotes, like that quote, and even, like, the dude fucking basically, he like, made peace between America and Russia in the fourth movie.
Yeah.
With his speech after the fight. He just won the Russians over because he wouldn't quit, man. He just kept coming.
He went into the lion's den.
He just kept coming. Like, he was taking the beating and he just wouldn't stop. That was Rocky's thing. You know, he could take an ass whooping.
And that was more of an age.
Coming.
That was more of an age. Like, not like old like Balboa, but like he was like a little,
the end of his prime,
yeah,
for sure.
But yeah. 5, not as great as the other ones.
No.
I wouldn't even necessarily say 5 was bad, but it didn't live up after all the stuff you had seen previously.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Balboa was good. I mean, it was unbelievable.
I mean, that was one of the best
It
monologues
wasn't
of the
believable,
entire series.
It had good quotes and moments, for sure.
Yeah. So are you honored to take Rocky Balboa through the gauntlet?
We shall see how he holds up. What kind of strength this list has here.
Well, right off the bat, we're gonna make this a tough one for you.
All right.
Rocky Balboa in the Rocky series, or John Rambo in the Rambo series?
Yeah. Man, that is tough because they're entirely different kinds of characters. I think overall, though, I like Rocky as a character a little more. He's like, he's a little more likable as a character. You know, he's got a lot of heart, and you're like, Rambo, you feel bad for, and he's a bad son of a bitch. But like, Rocky's like, he's more endearing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you like sympathize with him. You're like there for him. You're like in his corner. You're like, fuck yeah, Rocky. You know what I mean?
He's like the relatable like underdog story, and everybody's like, ah, and he became
Rambo is just like, these people are evil, and you're like, I can't wait till Rambo fucks these dudes.
Oh yeah. Dude, Last Blood was pretty sick.
It was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
That was awesome because like we went, I know we plotted it, like it just barely worked because we went to go see that, and immediately when that ended, we had to go see Jay and Silent Bob Reboot because it was like right next door.
That was one of the few times I've ever done that.
Yeah. Well, you have to time it almost perfectly too, and like we're like, oh, it should just be this length, and then like once credits rolled, we're like, we gotta roll, and like the opening crawl and stuff to Jay and Silent Bob Reboot was starting, like their the animated symbol thing, production company. That was crazy. I double movied up a few times. Another time was when me and like Cheatham and Brendan went to go see. Yeah, Brendan and Cheeto and me back in like 2014 went to go see. I think it was we saw the Ninja Turtles movie and then Guardians of the Galaxy opening night. So it was Guardians opening night, I think, and maybe, and I think we saw the Turtles movie, which to me, the 1991, much better.
What'd you think about the 07?
That one wasn't bad.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed that one.
Like, but I guess they weren't like horrible. I mean, I watched them both, the 14 and 16 one, but like I almost preferred the 90 series over that. I really did.
Yeah.
But I think one's the best, the original one. Secret of the Ooze isn't bad.
Yeah, I'd have to rewatch them again. I've definitely seen the original one, I think, the most, but I do remember Secret of the Ooze. I remember the Ooze.
They wanted that to be like toned down and a little lighter because the first one actually was kind of dark.
It was dope though.
But it was it was so sick. Casey Jones.
Yeah. Casey Jones was cool. He's a cool character.
Oh yeah. Elias
See on here?
Cotillas.
We got Casey Jones.
Yep. No. Well, okay, so back to the original thing. So you took Rocky over Rambo, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Right off the bat, putting Sly up against Sylvester. Not easy.
It's a close battle. It's his most iconic characters.
It's not going to be any easier for you, though, because we got Rocky or Indiana Jones in the Indiana Jones franchise. 6 films. I mean, I guess you can count his part in Creed, too, but, like, his main shit is, like, the 6 movies versus Indy's 5. But it's really the character.
Here's what I'll say about both of them. Both of the characters, their earlier stuff was better.
Yeah. Okay, I rewatched that 5th Indy, and honestly, I think it's number 5.
Yeah.
It wasn't horrible, but, like, I'm glad they did it.
Dude,
but it was...
I need to rewatch it again. I really am due for a rewatch, but, like, that... I don't know, like, even in the theaters, it was almost, like, it wasn't like I was not having a good time, but I felt the runtime. I was like, this thing's kind of dragging on, bro. Like, and I don't want to feel that in an Indiana Jones movie, you know? But the first 3, unstoppable.
They were...
Great.
The 4th one was great, I thought.
The 4th one is good still. I actually think the 4th one is a good movie.
Yeah.
And honestly, for a long time, I put 4 over 3. And there's still a debate there, but I think just as a trilogy, those first 3, like as just a trilogy of films, are like that. Those are great.
I don't think anybody would be wrong to say, like, on a given day, like, I could say Raiders is better than Temple or Temple's better than Raiders.
I think Temple's my favorite one.
But it's definitely between those two.
Yeah. I think it's Temple, Raiders. Yeah.
What do you think is better, though? Indiana Jones? Indiana Jones 5? Or Rocky 5?
Indiana Jones or Rocky?
Yeah.
Indiana Jones 5 or Rocky 5.
I mean, what was...
I would have to probably watch Indiana Jones 5 again.
Well, how did you feel just off one viewing?
I think Indiana Jones 5 was had more, grandeur to it, a little more excitement to it.
Than Rocky compared to his other ones in the series?
Compared to Rocky 5.
Yeah. 5 still felt like, in ways, it was like kind of supposed to be an epic, you know what I mean, with Indy, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It just, I think they waited too long again. You know what I mean? They waited way too long to do a 5th one. I think they could have done it a lot earlier than they did.
It's getting old, man.
Yeah. And that's their fuck up. Telling me in like 12 years since that other one, or no, it was like more than that, or however many.
Yeah, it was 2008 that one came out or something, wasn't it?
And it came out in so it was like 15 years. You telling me one time
couldn't have him do
in that 15 years you couldn't get 5 fucking ready to go. I'm not buying it.
Hollywood's fucking it up, dude.
I'm not buying it. But anyways, yeah.
Well,
put you to the test here.
Man, it is tough. I think I gotta go Indy. I think.
Okay. Knocking Rocky out to fight. Bam!
I think slightly, but yeah, it was a tough one.
Man. The first dime is fallen. Domino, maybe. All right, we got Rocky Balboa as the main here. Going up against Peter Venkman in Ghostbusters.
I love Ghostbusters, man. The original Ghostbusters. The second one's fantastic too. The original one, absolute classic. That being said, I don't know if any of the characters single-handedly, as a unit, as the Ghostbusters, they're like, that's one of the most iconic groups in film. But single-handedly, I don't know if any of them hold up to Rocky.
Yeah.
He's just an iconic son of a bitch, you know?
That's fair.
He's got a, he's one of the most talked about characters in film. Venkman was one of Bill Murray's probably most iconic characters. Like, he really brought it. But I thought Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd, were great too. So
Yeah.
And even once Winston came in, he was great too.
It wasn't like he was the only one that shined in that. You know what I mean? Not like that Rocky necessarily was either, but like that character had to succeed for the other ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, even if a few of them you found funny, the film was gonna work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they were all kind of like, the thing that I liked about that too is they played characters for sure, but Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis like wrote that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So like they kind of acted like themselves a little bit on set. The way they were, like Dan Aykroyd was just like fucking smoking cigarettes and shit as his character, like they were just kind of hanging out, but also playing characters. It was a good time. And Bill Murray was like his most cynical self.
Yeah.
In those movies, it's just great.
The Bill! Big, are you going to get tickets to that Bill Murray
Dude, I
live
would like
thing?
to see him. When is he even coming in? I forgot.
Might be, I don't know if
right?
it's April or May, but it's one of them.
Yeah. Be cool.
But yeah, I was going to, that's why I sent it to you. Because I'm like,
I looked
this dude's getting old.
I think he's coming with like a band. I think he's singing.
He'd probably, who knows?
I'm like, I hope the whole thing's not that.
Yeah.
I want him to tell stories.
That would be
nice.
Yeah. That would be nice. That'd be weird. He like comes and sings or something.
He's got a band with him. I'm just doing this now.
I'm Bill Murray. I saw Bill Murray at the fucking wherever.
Yeah, he was at the pageant just singing.
Yeah. Oh man. So you took Rocky over Venkman?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, next up we have got Rocky Balboa or Patrick Bateman in American Psycho.
Dude, Bateman was like, for Christian Bale, Patrick Bateman was his best acted character I think he's ever probably done.
You think?
Like, Batman was iconic for him, but it was Batman. That wasn't him. That wasn't his character.
He had to bring some of himself to Bruce.
It was his interpretation of him.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, Batman is an iconic character in himself. Patrick Bateman came to life through, like, it was Bret Easton Ellis's words from the American Psycho book that brought that movie to life. But, like, he brought Patrick Bateman to life. You know?
That movie was something else, too.
Yeah. It's wild. The book is even more brutal and fucked up than the movie. But that's just Bret Easton Ellis. That Less Than Zero book that I read was him too. That movie was all about like teens just doing drugs and like raping and fucking like breaking into houses and like making snuff films and like killing people and shit. It was just like the craziest shit. I'm like, this dude writes some fucked up books, man. All that being said, great movie.
Yeah, I know it's one of your. I know I like it and appreciate it a lot, but I know you probably hold it up higher than I do.
Yeah.
But I know that that's like one of the great roles that, to this day, even Christian Bale's played. And he's played a lot of them. He's been good in a lot of stuff that he's been in, and that 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Crazy.
2000, and I heard they were like doing a remake of that, and I'm like, just
no,
don't
stop. They shouldn't have done. I love Bill Skarsgård, but like I'm not watching that Crow movie.
Yeah.
They did make a few sequels after Brandon Lee stuff, but some of that stuff people just ignore it because they just mainly watch the original and stuff, and that was the one that he was in, and all that happened. Which, man, there's some weird details still with that, and Bruce Lee's death. That shit's suspicious that they both got killed in those kind of ways.
Yeah.
It really is.
I mean, yeah, they took out the Lees. I honestly think
they took him out.
They did.
The Mafia. They fucked them up.
They did. I really do think it was the Chinese triads that fucking took out Bruce.
It was a bullet that was not supposed to be in the thing, and like the person they had watching over inventory was not the usual one on set because something happened during, and then all of a sudden
I don't understand
it's
how
on
these Hollywood sets Like it had
Alec
with that
Baldwin.
rust stuff too. Like, how the fuck is a real bullet ever finding its way on the set? How? How is that ever even a possibility?
I don't know.
Oh fuck, we put the real ones in. Why are they
Why would they
there?
be leaving? Yeah, why would they be near the shit? It don't make any sense though. But in like, I'm sure Bill did a fine job, but like, I don't fucking want to watch that after like Brandon Lee's one.
Yeah.
Like regardless, I'm like that was
his
awesome,
film,
and he
you
had
know?
some great like there were some great moments in that too, and like
And I also heard that the like love story and all the like kind of thing in the Bill Skarsgård one, it just wasn't near as believable. It was like two addicts that met at a rehab house or something, and they had like a weekend fling, and then they wanted you to like sell that he was like getting vengeance and shit on it. It was just like, I mean,
and you
I
know,
don't know if I really want to watch it either.
I like him a lot. I like Skarsgård
Oh,
a
he's
lot,
a great actor.
and I
All
don't
the
fucking want
Skarsgårds
to watch
are.
it. And it's not even because I think he did a shitty job, but I don't even like the fact that they made that. I'm like, you know, so that'll probably, I don't know. Maybe eventually I will. I don't know if I will or not. But like that first one is just it. You know, it's classic. It's dope. And like what's cool is Sting actually did sound like the way Brandon Lee sounds in that. Like his voice actually did sound a lot like that. You know. So that was kind of cool that whole story. I was explaining that to somebody the other day actually. So, but anyway, was it Bateman? Bateman versus Rocky?
Yeah, all the credit that I gave for American Psycho, I still as just a character alone, I gotta pick Rocky.
Yeah.
Gotta.
Defeating Patrick Bateman, Rocky, getting the fucking knockout. Only went down to Indy so far.
Yep.
Well, next up is not going to be as easy. Neither are a lot of these probably, but we shall see. All right, Rocky Balboa or Tony Montana from Scarface.
Damn. Bro. I love Tony Montana. Like he's one of those characters that's like evil and he did everything. Like, he wasn't really even, this is the thing about Tony. He was in a lot of ways a villain, but also he was sympathetic and he wasn't the worst guy.
Tony?
Really? Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I see what you mean.
He wasn't.
No,
he
you could tell he had people and things he cared about.
He loved the lady that he was with, and she didn't love him back. He showed it in really fucked up ways, but he really cared about his family.
He definitely cared about his sister.
He was not gonna blow up that car when there was a wife and kids in there.
Yeah.
He had
has
morals.
morals.
He was not a terrible.
He had lines.
Yeah, like he lived a fucked up lifestyle, but he wasn't the worst guy even in the game that he played.
Yeah.
There was worse guys around him.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, is that one guy was going to blow it up even though the kids were in the car.
Yeah.
And he was like, fuck no, man.
That's why he got
You
fucked
think
over.
look at you now!
Yeah.
Dude, but like, that character is, especially in the sense of like one film, one shot, one character. Tony Montana, as far as that goes, because like, I mean, there's characters in series that, you know, can be debated and stuff, but like, especially as a one-shot character one time, there are very, very, very few characters as powerful as Tony Montana.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's, especially if you don't, you know, take in some of the really lengthy and depthful, like, series.
Yeah, for a one film character, I think he might be like the most powerful of all time.
Yeah.
And that being said, I'm taking him.
Tony Montana getting the knockout punch to Rocky, man. Fucking.
Yeah.
Damn. I figured that one was going to be a bruising.
That's a tough one, for sure. Because Rocky, like, as a film set, he's just so iconic. But
yeah, I had to. I mean, he's been hanging on the wall that fucking every podcast we've done in here. So you know. Well, next up, we've got Rocky or Bruce Wayne / Batman in the Dark Knight trilogy.
Damn. That's the thing, dude. As a character, all in all, dude, I love Batman. You know, he's like, grew up on Batman. The 90s movies, the animated series, Batman Beyond, even when the Batman came out, like in the mid 2000s, just so much Batman content, and it was all dope.
Mm-hmm.
The
trilogy,
villains
man,
were sick, and that trilogy was some of the best of all time when it came to Batman content. That's a little tough.
I love putting you in a pickle.
Because I don't know, man, because I love those movies, but do I love them because of Batman / Bruce Wayne?
Well, I mean, you know, I'm
He's
sure
a big
it's
part of
I'm
him.
sure it's an array of elements, but that
Rocky
character
is the reason I love the Rocky movies most of the time. You know what I mean? I mean, there's cool characters. Clubber Lang, Apollo Creed, dope characters, but
the thing is, too, is would those movies be as rich and powerful if Bale was less of a Batman or a Bruce Wayne? I thought he did a great job in both.
That's true. I mean,
you know what I mean? So it's like
he was the guy.
He's got the best case for being the best all-around live-action Batman, I think.
I think he is.
You know what I mean? Like
he's
got the most depth to the character. Like there was the story was like the most nuanced in a lot of ways, you know, especially like the Dark Knight, you know.
Yeah. Because Batman and Superman are like probably my favorites for sure, but it's like Batman's had the better movie content.
Yeah.
And those are the best Batman movies.
Mm-hmm. And there's other ones.
And Christian Bale brought him to life, so
he did.
The Dark Knight, one of my favorite movies of all time, just like Scarface. So in that aspect, Batman.
And no, that is a tough one though, for sure.
Yeah.
Rocky and yeah, man. So the competition is fighting its way back to Rocky here. Next up, we've got Rocky Balboa in the Rocky series, or Jules Winfield in Pulp Fiction.
Man. Dude, that was another one. That was like one of Samuel L's best characters of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's almost where he became the Samuel L that everybody sees him as. You know what I mean?
Which is like all time.
Yeah.
Which is, you put his name on something, it's gonna draw.
And he became that guy that's gonna be like, you motherfucker!
He's had
through that movie.
He's had his own set of like films that he is the lead, and he's a great leading man, as well as one of the most accomplished box office guys of all time. But he's also had a powerful character in Star Wars. He's had a powerful fucking character in Marvel. You know what I mean? Like he's had his foot in everything too.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really made a name for himself for sure. He's one of the most iconic actors of all time. Like he's up there now. Like he's just been in so much, and he's played a lot of iconic characters.
I think it's him and Harrison Ford are number 1 and 2 for their movies drawing the most ever at the box office. I think crazy. Harrison Ford's number 1.
Yeah, because he's played a lot of iconic characters too.
Yeah. He's been in some big time shit.
Yeah.
And so is Samuel L. too.
I think I gotta go Rocky a little bit there.
Over Jules, yeah.
Because I think I loved Pulp Fiction, but there wasn't like... Jules and Vincent were my favorite characters.
Mm-hmm.
But like, there were just an array of colorful characters in that movie. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, every single scene with a different set of characters was just entertaining.
Everybody had like a chance to shine for sure too. Like, I mean, Bruce Willis did a fucking great job too.
Yeah, Uma Thurman was great in that.
Mm-hmm.
They all really shined. So yeah, just as an overall cast and movie, Pulp Fiction's like a banger, like one of the best of all time. Rocky though.
Yeah.
Just
there's one.
Man.
Tony was has been the only exception so far, I believe, in a a one-off movie basically.
Yeah.
But see, that's why it's got to be something just so over the top and once again, like Pulp Fiction, Jules was obviously essential and extremely important, but it wasn't like, oh man, the whole movie was based off of, you know what I'm saying, like how like his performance or if it crumbled or not, you know what I mean, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was like they had a lot of aspects, even though he was one of the most vital parts for sure. But I wouldn't say he was the number one aspect, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I am glad he played him because
He brought him to life for sure.
And that's
him
that.
And John Travolta
Speaking of speeches,
together.
that speech is among the Ezekiel 25:17.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know, that's all time shit. Rocky Balboa in the Rocky series, or Yoda in the Star Wars saga.
Oh man.
Not taking it easy on you.
It's tough, but you know I gotta go Yoda.
Yeah.
It's my favorite Star Wars character. Star Wars, some of my favorite shit. Gotta be Yoda. You know?
He's the one.
Yeah. I mean, he's also what I think a lot of people would consider one of the most iconic characters of all time. Which is crazy because he wasn't really what the story ever revolved around.
Yeah.
That's why I think it would still be really cool if they did like a younger Yoda story.
He did it also because he was like, the fortunate thing too is when we first learned about Yoda, it was in the initial sequel whenever Empire came out and everybody got it, you know. And so like we still didn't really know about a whole lot of Jedi at that time, but it's like even throughout everybody that's been introduced, Yoda remains one of the absolute top most beloved characters in Star Wars, you know what I mean? So it's like he's, you know, a lot of the ones with like the most content are really rich though. You know, him and Obi-Wan, obviously Anakin, Luke, like they have such a like plethora of lore and stuff on them. Because their stuff was part of the main line of Star Wars, you know?
Yeah.
The main shit that happened in the films. So you said Yoda. It probably takes somebody big or maybe nothing, who knows, to overcome Yoda, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd really have to sit and think.
Yeah.
About what I've never really, I think, tried to just do overall everything movie characters.
No.
What's my favorite? That would be like super hard. Because I feel like even once you made the list, you'd be like, fuck, I forgot something.
Yeah.
You know? And then the list would be all fucked up. And there's just so many movies and so many dope characters. And I've seen so many movies that it's like, there's no way I wouldn't forget somebody.
Certain times though, it's like the characters can be really good, but not memorable in the sense that some of these series characters are. Yeah. Like they're characterized, colorful, like vivid, with actual like layers to them. Whereas like some of these characters in movies like about everyday modern, you know, life, whatever, or in horror and like, you know, whatever, it's like they might do a good job and the characters might be good or fine or great even. But unless they have something about them to just bring them up to another level, it's kind of just another character in a movie. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not even to sound shitty about it, but it's like, because that's not the point of some of those movies. Sometimes it's the story or the concept instead of like, oh, who's the lead? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Even if they are good, they could be good, but they might not pop the way some of these like characters that have lasted the test of time have.
Yeah.
You know, in series.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, though. If you have a series character, they have more of a chance to shine because there's going to be more content involving them. Yeah. You know, they're going to have a bigger agenda, a plethora of film.
So you took Yoda. All right. Rocky Balboa or Jason Voorhees in the Friday the 13th series.
Damn. It's funny to like even try to think about comparing those two.
Alright, what do you think would happen if Rocky fought Jason?
It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of saw that in part 8 when that guy tried to box Jason and Jason just fucking sliced his head off.
Yeah. And it could have been inspired by Rocky, you know. Be like, oh, fucking these movies are doing good.
Yeah. It was like in the later 80s.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it, bro. Just capitalize on this boxing craze.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Man, you know, horror's my shit. Jason's one of my favorite characters. I think I gotta go Jason. Gotta stick with the brand, man.
Okay. You got him tattooed on you.
Yeah.
Damn, okay. Jason, I wasn't sure on that one, honestly. I was like, I almost thought maybe you'd take Yoda, but I wasn't like dead set on some of these. And last but not least, we have got Rocky Balboa or Gollum / Smeagol in Lord of the Rings. Which I guess you could really say The Hobbit too, because he was in both. Dude, you know what I watched after I watched Gravity the other night? Which that's another story. So Tyler, who I work with, you know, told me to watch like the Lord of the Rings 1978 animated movie. Yeah. And I was actually telling you about that, but I was like, this thing, there was some shit into it. It was creepy as fuck. I was like, and their Smeagol was kind of odd.
I remember watching the animated Hobbit, like growing up a time or two, but I don't think I ever watched the Lord of the Rings one.
It was kind of like they stuffed. First of all, 3/5 of the movie was basically what happened in just Fellowship. Is what a lot of yeah, like 3/5. I was just like, dude, they still gotta. So they kind of skipped a lot of the stuff that was per se gonna happen in like the Two Towers. You know, they told kind of something. Actually, no. Actually, they did tell that. That's why I was kind of. Not concerned, but I was just like, what the hell, is this not the last one? And then they have another one that came out in 1980, so that one came out in 78, and that was actually, it pretty much stopped where Two Towers about ended. So they did spend some time on it, but they didn't even show, but then they have one that came out 2 years later, 1980, animated as well. I didn't watch that one, but that's just called Return of the King, like Lord of the Rings Return of the King. So I'm like, so they made the animated one, and then I guess they just made like 3, but its own thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll watch or not, but it was it was interesting. It was kind of a good watch though still.
Yeah, I bet it would be kind of cool. I want to watch that new one, War the Rohirrim or whatever.
Yeah.
That looks good.
It does.
It's like an over 2-hour movie, and it's animated.
I bet it's sick, because it's like about Rohan, like in the Two Towers and shit.
Yeah.
Like the Battle of Helm's Deep, that shit was, that was the best battle of the series.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was awesome.
So, yeah, it was sick.
That it would be kind of cool. It's kind of neat that they're expanding, because like Lord of the Rings is such a giant world.
Yeah.
Too, that they're like expanding more, kind of like they are with Star Wars. Like they're like, oh, fuck it, we'll reach out and try to like branch out into more characters. I heard Rings of Power like wasn't doing great though.
Yeah, I think it started off hot, but they put so much money into it that if they're not getting the viewership, then that's gonna hurt them.
Yeah,
because they put a lot of money into it.
I think I watched like a couple episodes, but I didn't like get super deep into it.
Yeah, I actually didn't. I don't even think I finished the first season. I was going to it, and I'm like, this is one of those things where I'm like, I may just pick back up on it and everything. Yeah. But yeah, even Smeagol in like the other one was kind of weird. Like he was a little bit different. But obviously a lot of the same lines stayed intact and whatnot too. So, but yeah, I knew that because you're like, honestly, he's one of my favorite, like I know you said he was one of the most interesting characters, but like, I don't know how far. See, and that's another thing we could do on this segment is Lord of the Rings characters. There's a ton of them, you know? Mm-hmm. So that would actually be one we could do too. But I honestly think that people acknowledge he's a pretty rich character, but he, in ways, the pack gets a little bit thickened with like good characters in Lord of the Rings and like the Hobbit and a lot of those characters, if you want to count everybody, that he might get even a little overlooked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, he's not like, he's not part of the main group that's like doing a lot of the badass stuff, and he's just kind of like an annoyance to Frodo and Sam. and their story.
He like turned himself into a creature because he like didn't. He just wouldn't take the ring off for like a long time, and it fucking destroyed him like mentally.
He was just like it was his whole life basically.
Yeah. He like lost everything because his obsession was only that. Like like his body was destroyed. He like was a hobbit and everything.
Crawled into a cave and shit.
Yeah.
Became a little gal.
Just hunting for fish and.
Yeah, he was a cool character though. Mm-hmm. I really did enjoy his story.
He was one of the only characters not involved with either side though. Too.
That was kind of cool about him too. He's kind of rogue. He was his own shit. Mm-hmm. He literally was only out for himself in the ring.
That's it. No, that's all he cared about.
He could always be a wrench in the plan. Like they would have shit like that, you'd forget about fucking Gollum. Like, oh fuck, he took it. Because
he's not to be trusted, and like he tried manipulating everybody in that, Sam and fucking Frodo. Like literally everything Sam said turned out to be true, but he just wiggled his way into fucking with them just so he'd get the ring. Like he isolated Sam and was able to get the ring.
He like caught him just talking to himself in the lake and shit.
You filthy little liar! And he takes it from me. And he drops the rock in the.
Sam's just back there all pissed.
Oh yeah, he never trusted him.
I think I slightly would probably take Rocky though.
Yeah. Who do you think your favorite character is in Lord of the Rings? Do you think it's him, or do you think it's somebody else?
I don't know.
Mine would probably be Gandalf or Aragorn.
I like Gandalf, yeah.
Counting all the Hobbit stuff too. In which even that group of dwarves, like some of them were pretty interesting.
Yeah. There was a lot of characters within Lord of the Rings, but there was only like a handful of the most like cool ones, you know what I mean? Like the ones that you were like, oh yeah, that would be my favorite one, you know?
Yeah.
I like Gimli a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was kind of like comic relief, but he was also a badass. Gollum probably would be my favorite one though.
You think?
Probably.
Number one? Damn.
Maybe. Here's the thing. I feel like I always kind of like Yoda is the exception in Star Wars because he's above Darth. But a lot of the times I do pick the villain as like my favorite character in things.
Mm.
Not always. But sometimes, a lot of times their stories are really cool too. But like, Gollum wasn't like the main villain, but he was like sort of comic relief, but he was also a villain.
Yeah. But he was like he was a third party out for his own. And the thing is like it didn't start that way. Like, but
the more we're talking about this, the more I'm about to change my answer.
The thing is like he literally was the moment he saw it, like when they showed him see it, and like whenever they show that, and I know that like even when we were watching it like a few years ago,
I think I'm changing my answer.
When that won you over, because I'm like that opening, like that cold open to Return of the King was fucking golden.
Oh yeah.
Whenever it showed him how he took the ring from Deagle and like it was cold, and then he's just like, it cast us, and like he was shaking back and forth in the cave, losing his hair, and like just everything was turning him into the fucking monster. And it was just like that was, and then he's like, I know it like it faded to black as he was like in his cave, and it just was on his eyes and stuff, and he's just like, my precious, and then like the cold open ended, and like it was such a, oh man, it was like a vile opening, like cold open.
It was cool.
Yeah. It was so well done though, because I'm like that was a little bit creepy as fuck growing up, like just that cold open of it, because it was like the murder was so intimate and personal, like on Deagle, because like the moment, like, that fish took Deagle into the water, like into that like little river, that stream, and that ring had been forgotten about. It was like 2,000 years since Isildur got killed in battle, and like the ring just down to the bottom of the, it was just down there, just sitting down there, but nobody knew because he got killed and it fell off his finger. and nobody found it until like that fish took Deagle down. He saw it in the like in the weeds and shit in the down below, and he just like saw it and like he stopped even trying to chase the fish, and then he like goes down there and grabs it, and then he goes back on the land, and Smeagol comes over to him, and he's just like Deagle, and he's like asking if he's all right and shit. But then like the moment he like opens his hand, it's like covered with dirt and everything, and he sees it, he's just like, you saw like his just obsessed and his like love just start for like from that fucking moment, his eyes just glowed with, he couldn't think about fucking anything else.
It took him.
Yeah, it's just the moment he saw it, he was like, I have to have it.
I killed this son of a bitch.
And he's like, you must give it to us, precious. And he's just like, Deagle's like, why? And he's like, because it's my birthday. And I want it. And then he's like, and then they start fighting, and that's, whenever they get taken to the ground, and that's what I mean, like, it's so intimate and personal. Like, he gets down on him, and he just fucking chokes him until he fucking, because it's still, like, grasping his, in his hands and everything. And, like, finally he just suffocates him and kills him, and his hand opens up, and that's just whenever he didn't even give a shit. Like, I'm pretty sure they grew up together. They may have even been, like, cousins or related or something.
Yeah, I think they were. I thought they were supposed to be, like, brothers or something. I didn't know.
Something like that. But they,
Smeagol and Deagle.
So he was a hobbit, yeah. He was a hobbit. And that's just the moment he saw that, like, when Deagle came up with it, it just took him. And he never could think about anything else. Like, that was his just number one goal. That was his only priority. Yeah. Was, like, obtaining and keeping that ring.
I used to have this 3D bookmark I had for years, and I used it all the time. Mm-hmm. And it was like, you'd turn it one way. It was one of those where you'd like turn it and it changed, and you'd turn it one way and it was Smeagol, and he looked like all nice. And you'd turn it the other way and it was Gollum, and he was like pissy, like screaming and shit.
Well, they say like whenever he got tortured, it kind of just made him develop another. Well, I mean, I also think the ring just made him have multiple personalities. Like he just
talked to himself and shit all the time.
Oh, he talked to it for it. I forget how long he had it. I think it was like 2,000 years since Isildur like dropped in there. Like whenever he got killed after defeating like Sauron in battle and stuff too. I mean, he held on to it for a while. They were about to destroy it, and then like the ring was so powerful, and because in this world like they're like the minds of men are easily corrupted. He was getting ready to throw it in, and Elrond, the elves, like the head guy, was telling him, he's like, throw it in the fire, and like the ring just took hold of his mind, and he's just like, it's mine, like, and he just literally walked out of the place, and he's just like I'm not destroying it. It's like you guys got all the fucking way there, and then somewhere along their travels back home, like people got word that like he still had it, and they fucking shot him down, and yeah, it's like it was getting ready to be destroyed, and the ring has a mind of its own.
Extra strong.
Yeah, it was like, no, it needs to reunite with its master, like Sauron. That's like its sole goal. Like the ring has a goal.
Yeah.
And it's trying to get back to him. And Gollum, I think he had it for like it gave him like insane long life, they said too, that he wasn't supposed to have.
Oh yeah.
But I think he had it for like 500 years. Maybe 600, something like that, and he just kept it in his cave and just whispered to it and shit for many years.
Kept him alive,
till Bilbo fucking got there, and then it ended up in his hands.
Mm-hmm.
Which that shit was so good. That's why I'm like, I might be in the minority in that sense, but I'm like, I think I like An Unexpected Journey maybe the first of the three.
I think I might too, yeah.
Extended though, you gotta watch the extendeds. No, those are fantastic. But that just had so much like layering. Now I really do like Smaug the dragon in like 2. It was sick.
Yeah, I think I'm going Gollum though, actually.
Are you?
I think so.
Okay. No, I really think I think people get it, but the series is full of rich characters, and I'm like, he's got, like I said, I was talking about like Dooku and stuff before on Star Wars and whatnot, but he really has a much more layered and nuanced story than, like, if you really think about it, you know what I mean? Like how much happened to him in his life over the course of like the series and everything.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, when he was about to destroy it, he ended up with it again. Remember that, like, dancing on the cliff? He's just like, and he started. He was up there like right whenever Frodo and Sam were trying to destroy it, and he's just like, yes. He was like, I'm pretty sure you were like laughing your ass off when he got, because he finally got it back, and he was just up there like right next to the lava, just celebrating.
Oh yeah.
He had it again.
That's all I cared about, dude. Didn't matter if he died.
He got it back one more time before. I mean, he was the last person to have it technically.
Yeah.
Because then Frodo pushed him in, and then he was hanging on by the cliff, and where Sam found him,
Yeah.
barely holding on. That shit was epic though, because they took that dive off, and like, of course, as a viewer, you're supposed to be like, "Oh fuck, did it take Frodo too?" And then Sam saved him. They barely got out of there.
Barely.
And then we got 26 endings. But no, Return of the King was great. Like, that's the thing. I can't, even though I love the Two Towers, and I'm maybe even more partial to that one. I would say, like, moment for moment, the Two Towers got the absolute most out of a movie, like, arguably, like, that I've ever seen. You know what I mean? And that's the difference between Two Towers and Return of the King. You know what I mean? Because I feel like there was maybe a little more just, people were going to hate me for saying that too, especially Lord of the Rings people. But I'm like, maybe just a little more like baggage to it that was maybe unnecessary, you know what I mean? Or even some moments or whatever. But like, I really think the Two Towers was just, that was pretty much absolutely flawless.
Yeah.
And, there's really only a handful of movies I'd probably take over the Two Towers. Maybe more than that, but we'd have to see. It might be my top 10 still.
Yeah.
So, but Return of the King is the one that won all the awards, won Best Picture, won, all the, was the mega hit and everything. Two Towers still won stuff, but Return of the King, like, the conclusion was just an absolute all-out epic.
Yeah.
But I feel like the common consensus for most people is that Return's the best. But I think Two Towers is just fucking flawed. I think Two Towers is a masterpiece.
I don't think Return's the best.
I think Two Towers is a masterpiece. I think Fellowship's underrated.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know. Return and Battle of the Five Armies could both be my least favorite.
Really?
Potentially, yeah.
I would probably go 2, 3, 1, but I would say if it was like, for instance, if Fellowship was a good, the bad, and the shits, it'd be fucking underrated to me.
Yeah. It's
the only one that's underrated, I think, out of Lord of the Rings trilogy. But I'd probably go Two Towers, Return, Fellowship. The Hobbit, probably the Hobbit ones. I just go 1, 2, 3.
Probably me too.
But yeah, Two Towers is that was fucking incredible.
Oh yeah.
That had just slightly the best score too out of the 3, or really all of that world was Two Towers. It was like damn near perfect.
Well, shall we break into it? What was my final score?
Well, you took Rocky over, so whatever I don't list here, you didn't take it over. You took Rocky over John Rambo, Peter Venkman, Patrick Bateman, Jules Winfield, and I don't know if you did you take Gollum? You took Gollum?
Yeah.
And you took Jason, you took Yoda, you took Bruce Wayne, Tony Montana, and Indiana Jones.
Yep.
So I think that he only went over 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think it's 6-4. Or no, it's 6-4 out of favor of Rocky.
Wow. Well, will it get any easier on you? We shall see. You want to get into it? We want to do yours, or we want to take a break, or what are we thinking?
Yeah, let's do them. Why not? If some point we're just like, let's just take a break, we can. But
all right. Well, your main one is Mr. Indiana Jones himself.
Alrighty, yeah. That might be tough. I don't know if it's gonna be tough for him though, or tough for the competition.
We'll see. First up, we got Indiana Jones or John Rambo.
Probably because I'm more intimately connected in the sense of like viewership, nostalgia wise. I'd probably have to say Indy over Rambo.
Yeah, Rambo is one of the best action star kind of characters ever. Because he literally just comes in with like guns and just knives and just beats ass, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, his movies were
Slaves.
badass, and even 3 that I maybe put like at the bottom of the 5 was still entertaining and good. You know, it wasn't by any means like a bad movie. You know.
Yeah. So you got Indy going over.
Yeah.
All right. So Indiana Jones or Dumbledore.
See, and like Dumbledore is kind of that role where, like, in a lot of movies, it's kind of like that character, and you see a pattern there. It's like, okay, you know, you got like Gandalf, Dumbledore, Yoda. That's kind of like the head kind of master person in each thing. You know, that's why I always call like Pawpaw. I'm like, that's your character for this in pretty much each thing.
Yeah.
Because I think what his character in on Max is Dumbledore. I think I made him. Yeah. Yeah, he was definitely one of the greatest in Harry Potter. I would say one of my personal favorites. I don't know if he'd be number 1. I don't know if I definitively have a number 1 in Harry Potter or not. I would maybe have to give it some thought, and then I could come up with it. Because I know it'd probably be between like maybe 3 or 4 people, but I'd have to really think about it.
Who is it?
I don't know. I mean, the thing is like
Dumbledore would be in there.
I don't know if he would be number 1, but I mean, like I like Harry's character obviously a lot too, but I don't definitively know if he would either. But you know, I always like Sirius Black a lot.
My favorites. Probably Voldemort.
And Voldemort, yeah, he's up there too.
He's probably one, and Hagrid.
Yeah,
Probably one, and Dumbledore. It's probably my top 3.
yeah, no, that's solid, and like I would have all 3 of those guys in my top. Probably, yeah, at least 5 or 10, all 3 of them easily. But all 3 might potentially be in my top 5. I would say.
Yeah.
So it was Dumbledore or Indiana Jones.
Yep.
I'd probably have to edge it out with Indy on that one by a little bit. But Dumbledore is pretty close up there. But yeah, no, I like Sirius Black. Character. I like I like Harry.
Him a lot.
Yeah, Chamber of Secrets is one of my favorites for sure out of the whole thing. Or not Chamber of Secrets, Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yeah. Honestly, I think Chamber of Secrets is kind of underrated, but I think my favorite ones, honestly, are the first one and the last one.
Yeah.
But I think my third is probably number 4, and that's kind of under, like, Goblet of Fire. I think that's got a really cool, like, Voldemort and Harry scene. That's probably their coolest, like, meet-up before their final one.
Yeah.
Was in that one.
I would say the last one's my number 1, and second would either be 1 or 3.
Yeah, Prisoner of Azkaban's a lot of people's favorite one, I think. That's like on a lot of lists that comes in first.
Yeah. I would maybe say that. I probably would say that too, and then 1 for 3. Maybe 4 for 4. And then I would have to
Yeah, I'd probably go
figure it out from there.
Definitely Oz Part 2 would probably be 1, then Sorcerer's Stone 2, and Goblet of Fire 3. And probably Prisoner of Azkaban.
Is your 5th?
That's my 4th.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
And then probably Chamber of Secrets.
I don't know how I would do it after that. 5 maybe my... it's either bottom or second, but whichever one isn't, it's part 1.
Chamber of Secrets,
part
and
1
then
7.
Half-Blood Prince. Then
Half-Blood Prince,
Phoenix, and then part 1.
Half-Blood Prince potentially is my 5th.
Yeah, Half-Blood Prince is still pretty good. Pretty damn good. It's got some really iconic parts as well.
And I would probably say...
I need to watch all of them again.
I would maybe say Chamber is 6th. And then part 1 of 7 or 5. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I'd roll. Yeah, 4. I mean, I saw the first 4 in theaters and then saw randomly like part 7. And at that point, I was just like, fuck, I've been on a loop for some years here. What the hell? But yeah, those were movies we saw with like my dad and stepmom back in the day, actually, quite a bit.
I think the first one of those I saw in theaters was the third one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw every one of them in theaters after that. Well, you got Indiana Jones up 2-0 right now. So Indiana Jones or Hannibal Lecter.
Oh man, yeah. See, he's a great character.
Yeah, he's iconic.
That's one that could potentially be, extremely powerful off of. Well, and then that's not even a one-off though, because he's got the Hannibal series and all the other stuff. And I'm gonna be honest, I've actually never seen any of those, like any of the sequels or any of the other stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna as much. And the thing is Silence of the Lambs, same thing. I don't want to get repetitive here because I'm going to say several things are masterpieces. Two Towers is one of them. But Silence of the Lambs is one of those films that is, I dare you to find anything that looks like a mistake in that movie or a plot line or like a detail.
Was the reason Hannibal Lecter was what he was.
And even like Wild Bill and fucking, Jodie Foster is her character.
Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Bill. But like those just everybody was perfection in their role and like the script was flawless. You know what I mean? There's very few movies that I would basically say that about. Like, Two Towers is one of them, and Joker is another one, and Silence of the Lambs, and there are some. Shawshank Redemption, that's another one. There's some movies that are just, they hit the fucking mark.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would probably have to say Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones. He's on a run.
Yeah. He's running the gauntlet, baby.
Let's see if he can keep it up, if he's gonna run it all. Indiana Jones or Mufasa.
Damn. That was another movie I was considering seeing if I didn't see Hard Eyes, and because I was like, I would maybe give it a shot because it's also kind of like an original. It's like a newer story and everything, so it wouldn't have to be as critical.
Cool.
Yeah, it wouldn't have to be as critical like it was with Lion King, where they pulled the heart and soul out of it, like all the other live-action Disney movies that used to be animated movies. Yeah. I dare you to find one of them that was better than the original. Crickets.
Yeah.
Crickets. The best one compared to maybe its original that I saw. Because I did hear good things about Aladdin, but I actually never saw that either.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to see that one.
But the best one compared to the original that was animated versus its live-action successor, which didn't succeed it, but it did.
Yeah.
In order. Was probably the Beauty and the Beast one.
Yeah.
That was like probably the closest. And that's also because I didn't hold as high in regard, not that I hated it or anything, but there were several other Disney animated movies that I held in high regard than Beauty and the Beast. It was animated. So that probably helped make them a little closer to me.
I haven't seen a whole lot of the live action ones, I don't think.
But
so like
don't want to see the Mulan one. Didn't have the life and soul, didn't have the singing, didn't have fucking the lizard, didn't have nothing. The Lion King didn't even sing the same songs. Yeah. And that was fucking... They should have made Scar actually have a scar and shit. That would have been sick. He did, but it was fucking lame. He looked like... He should have had the fucking black beard and shit. Yeah. It was just like, that's...
One of the live-action ones, it wasn't necessarily a remake, but it was kind of like a prequel story as well. That was I actually really enjoyed, was Cruella. I thought Cruella was pretty good.
It was.
I liked the 101 Dalmatians a lot, too. That's like a Disney movie that I was always really into.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and Cruella is also... Same thing as like this new Mufasa movie. It's like it's kind of an original adaptation of something
kind of
like
a prequel.
Yeah. So even if they had their sequels, they're kind of like, well, we're creating a new story for the character. So I mean, I was tempted to go see it, but I was also like, nah. And I was like, I've been going to see some horror movies lately, but they've all been good. Like they've all been solid. Yeah. So no complaints on that front. Some people didn't like The Monkey that much, but there's a whole lot of people that have.
I heard that it's kind of like a fun, like horror comedy kind of.
Yeah, movie. It was good. It didn't take itself too seriously. If that's and that's what we were talking about before. You're like, oh, was this good? I forget what it was. What was the last few casts? and you're like, eh. Oh, it was the Jericho one.
Oh yeah.
I remember listening to this.
Dark match. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was, if you're into wrestling and horror, you'll get a kick out of it, and for what it is, like I said, it's kind of like, I feel like the person who made it took some influence from Rob Zombie and LSD.
Yeah, might have. But Mufasa, the character himself, or Indiana Jones, I'm gonna probably have to go Indy again.
Yeah.
Swiping this fucking thing clean.
You're pissing some people off, man.
Well, you know, I'm a big proponent for The Lion King, so you don't need to bash me, motherfuckers. But, you know, it's not my fault.
It's not, honestly, I'm one of the ones where I'm like, I always enjoyed The Lion King, but it's not like my favorite Disney movie by any means.
Tarzan, that's a great one. But see, that live action I didn't watch either because it looked fucking horrendous compared to like the animated one.
Yeah.
I heard the Jungle Book wasn't bad, but it's hard for me to even believe the Jungle Book's as good either.
I think I did see that one.
Aladdin, you saw Aladdin, didn't you?
I didn't see that one.
Oh,
I think the Jungle Book's the only one I saw.
But yeah, well, they just ripped the heart and soul out of so many of them.
Yeah.
Disgraceful.
Well, Indiana Jones is up 4-0.
Didn't see Little Mermaid either.
I didn't either.
Didn't see Cinderella.
Nope.
Didn't see... Yeah, a lot of them.
Any of them.
But see, that's the thing. I was constantly disappointed with them. I wasn't disappointed in Beauty and the Beast, but like I said, I feel like that one had more of a neutral ground because I knew a lot of the other animated ones better than Beauty and the Beast. But the live action was good, you know?
Yeah.
So that one was the best one that I saw, and then I was just disappointed by a bunch of them, and then I just stopped watching them.
Yeah.
But I was tempted for that one because it wasn't trying to ruin anything. It was just trying to add on to something else.
I already said Cruella was good. Yeah. And it was its own thing. Yeah. So, it might not have been bad. I didn't hear great things about it, but I might give it a watch. I think they should remake Hook, man. Hook was like one of my favorite villains. Kind of neat to see him back. Oh yeah, he probably was like my favorite Disney villain. Cruella was kind of like, she was always funny to me. I always like kind of enjoyed her, but I don't know if she'd be like one of my favorites or not. I never really like said that. Yeah, she was just always smoking and like fucking driving her car like a bat out of hell and shit. She was entertaining.
Yeah, it was funny.
All right, Indiana Jones or Arthur Fleck from the Joker, or Joker rather.
Ooh,
very different kinds of characters.
Yeah, well, and the thing is like that movie worked so well because his performance was so great.
Yeah.
Versus, and that's not me even taking away anything because like Harrison was always great as Indiana Jones. Everybody knows that. But like they sold the movie so well off of his believable performance too. You know what I mean? Whereas like Indy, it's almost like the nostalgia and the richness of like the character throughout the years and your connection to it. It's almost like that versus this just absolutely like once in a lifetime performance in like a masterpiece movie. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like comparing different things in a lot of ways, you know? I would say, I mean, the Joker stands out in general, but I would say if it's that character or that interpretation of the character, I would say Indy by some because it's a little more nuanced and, you know what I mean, more of like a
character.
Whereas like that's an interpretation of the character, the Joker, you know what I mean?
It's like, just a very well acted performance.
Yeah, so that is a tough one for sure, but that's obviously, I mean, that's one of the best performances I've seen anybody give in something, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd probably have to take Indy again. He's clean in this thing. I didn't know if he would be. I thought he would maybe be at least 3 down by now.
Well,
I wasn't sure.
Indiana Jones or Tony Montana.
Damn, it got rough. I would kind of back up our point we made earlier and have to suggest that Tony Montana's. I'd probably have to take him as one of the all-time legendary characters over Indy by a little bit. And like it's hard because not really anybody, maybe nobody, as far as a non-series character would be able to take that from Indiana Jones. You know what I mean? It would be hard. I mean, but there's a lot of series characters I would potentially take over Indy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. These are things too that are very. It takes some thought to compare.
Yeah, you don't really think about them.
But Tony, man, like
up.
There's just so much just off the one movie, like so much dialogue, so many classic moments that you just immediately think of whenever you think of Scarface or Tony Montana character.
Yeah.
And it just. It is iconic.
So you take Tony Montana.
Yeah.
For the win.
I'm gonna take
first
Tony.
Victory. All right. So the rivals are on the board. Still 5-1 in favor of Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones. The next half of this list won't be as easy. I feel like it's the first half.
That was only half?
Well,
or was that
that's
6?
5-1 right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Indiana Jones or Luke Skywalker.
Ooh. Tough, because you got to compare, because I noted that Luke was he was among my top, but not like the very tip top, so it's kind of like, where does somebody like that rank against Indiana Jones, the lead in the whole series,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what would have been really tough is Han Solo and fucking...
Yeah, I thought about doing that.
Yeah. Now that this one isn't, because it is pretty tough, for sure. Well, I'm going to probably go with Luke over Indy. And I don't even know if that one's entirely definitive, because I could probably make a case for one or the other,
Yeah.
But that's one of the ones that was going to be hard to say. Because if you would have thrown Obi-Wan out there, I would have taken Obi-Wan.
Oh, well, yeah. I couldn't. I didn't want to do that.
You're like, can't make that way too easy. But that is tough. Luke was one of the more difficult ones, I would say, to put up against him.
Yeah.
Because
I was like, I thought...
You pick somebody too
low.
low.
Han would probably beat him for you.
Probably.
But I was like, Luke, I don't know. Indiana, so it's 5-2 now. Indiana Jones or Freddy Krueger.
Damn. Yeah, Freddy, man, he's just like you. Whenever you Jason my list and had to put him up against Rocky, it's not.
It's kind of funny, yeah. I thought that too.
I was like, I gotta include one of those guys. One of those guys. You know what I mean? And I was like, I might as well include somebody you hold in pretty high regard. Not that there's others that I couldn't have picked, but
that's kind of how I felt too. I'm like, because there was others I thought about throwing on there, but I'm like. Yeah. I don't know if they would have a chance.
I figured I was like,
this one will make it interesting.
I was like, somebody in the slasher realm has got to stand up for like the boys on that. You know what I mean? In this list,
yeah,
somebody's got to be on the board. And I was like, I actually saw Freddy on the list. We were looking at ideas earlier, and I thought of Jason. So I was like, as soon as I thought of Freddy, I was like, yeah, I'm putting him on there. I even for a second entertained putting like 2 slashers, not necessarily those 2, but Jason and like one of the other ones.
I thought about throwing like Pennywise or Chucky or something.
Yeah. So Freddy or Indy, huh?
Yeah.
I would probably take Freddy at least by a little bit.
Yeah, just
Yeah, when push comes to
The
shove,
iconic. He's in every year.
yeah.
He's a big part of your every
And
year.
in
every season
reality,
staple.
at this point, I've probably watched the Nightmare series more times than the whole Indiana Jones series.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's kind of how I feel. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
when you really think about it, because with a lot of these, especially iconic like series, like horror slasher series, we've revisited them so many times at this point. Like,
whenever they become tradition, and then it's just like you ring up so many watches. As well as times before we were sort of doing the list or making it like about the list, when we probably flipped it on a few other times, just fucking around, watching them.
Yeah.
So it's like we're up to probably an enormous amount of watches on some of them.
Well, damn. So you took Freddy when it came to it.
Was that 8 of them through?
Yep.
5-3.
5-3.
Okay.
So Indy, he's taking some licks.
He like 5-0 to everybody though. But first, so you can afford to lose a few.
Yeah,
but,
Rambo, Dumbledore, Hannibal Lecter, Mufasa, Arthur Fleck. He slashed the board on.
Whipped him. He did.
So now we got Indiana Jones or Caesar from the Planet of the Apes.
Not an easy one either. I didn't even think about that series, to be honest, when I was doing this earlier.
Oh man, that's another one. Like, I love that series.
Yeah, no, I do too. And like last year, I know we talked about it previously, but I went back and after we watched, like I watched some of the other ones and then watched the new one when we all went to theaters to watch it, like Kingdom. I was like so invested. I was like, man, I gotta, because like whenever it's kind of like when I was binging all the sports documentaries. When something's hot in my mind like that, I'm like, it's gotta be now. I'm like, if I'm gonna watch them, I'm like, when's the next time I'm gonna get on a Planet of the Apes kick like this? I'm like, now is the time. I'm gonna finally sit down and watch them. Even though I remembered some of the shit being but my argument was, once you get, it's all a matter of opinion really, but some people are, critical of how the production value and the makeup and everything looks for back then, even though, what I'm saying, like, really, if you look back, they did a pretty damn good job for how early it was, for how primitive the process was. And once you get past that...
early Star Trek, there's some goofy shit.
Once you get past that, and you start to at least try to buy them, the old ones, you can kind of take them for what they are. And, like, there's elements to some of them that I wasn't too much of a fan of. But, like, the first one, I was like, the first one, in the concept alone, is I was like, this was for the concept alone, and whenever you start to see how and why they piece it together, and they're like, oh, this is like afterlife civilization, when in really, what you don't figure out, like, until the end is, oh, this is supposed to be, like, the humans fucked up, and, like, crashed here, and this is all a result of, like, a nuclear fucking warfare that broke out after people warned them whenever we came up with it, like the atomic bomb and everything.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my god, like, whenever you start to put the pieces together and why they ended up there and then they got enslaved and stuff, it's like, it's such a, like, it's honestly one of the best premises for, like, a series I've ever heard of. You know what I mean? And that was just the way they decided to do the first one. Now, the new ones are like, oh, and, we're testing mammals and everything, and then they become talking, like, through that. And, like, the old one starts with, that. Like, it doesn't really reveal the unknown place until kind of, like, the very end, how it's, like, the Statue of Liberty and, like, ah, damn you, damn you all to hell, like, that whole, like, line and stuff, just pounding, like, the sand but it's, like, that first one was so fucking cool, because I just love, like, how original the idea was, like, in that. Like, just, the premise, even to this day, was impressive. Because, like, all these years, I still didn't know exactly what the originals were about and, like, how everything happened and stuff. And then, like, so they do that, and then 2 kind of picks up where some of 1 left off, and then some crazy shit happens with that leading into 3. And 3 is, like, more of them going back in time, but, like, then just being in present day. Which is what's, really crazy, because then that carries into 4, and then so through 3, whenever Caesar was born, Caesar wasn't even born in the originals until number 3, or like his, like they go back in time, there was some sort of loophole with whenever the humans that got there in the future in the first one, they were able to go, the apes were able to go back, and when that happened, they got into Earth present day for when those movies are coming out in the 70s and stuff.
Yeah.
And his parents got pregnant and that was Caesar, but a lot of the third one was kind of them doing experiments and they were looking at him and they didn't even know for a little bit into 3 that the apes could talk, but the apes were trying to play it smart and just talk to each other and were well, they knew, they don't think we're able to do any of this. They think we're dumb, so they're they were understanding that they had to sort of be a certain way and protective at first because they knew that humans were kind of the downfall of themselves and everything. And then, so whenever Caesar was born and he was growing up and everything, that's when everything kind of came to fruition in the fourth one. And I forget all the names, but whichever one the fourth one is, I don't know if that's Conquest. Actually, I think that is Conquest. 4 was pretty sick because 4 was a lot and I remember you telling you this on one of the pods we did last year after we saw him. The new one, but 4 was a lot in a way Rise of the Planet of the Apes, where that's number 4 in its series, but after it started with it kind of being backwards, this is what happened and then this is how we got here, and then it kind of shows you the stuff. 4 is the one where Caesar, they get to know that he's pretty smart and he can talk, and somehow he engages the other apes and stuff too, and I don't know if he does the thing where they kind of get smarter, but he's able to teach them all how to talk and to where they're able to they kind of become enslaved in 4, and the humans are starting to do the stuff to them, and then that's whenever they break out and raise hell, and Caesar gives his speech and everything, and 4 was pretty epic. I would say 4, I expected the longer it went on, the worse it would get. 4 I would actually put next to 1. I think 4 was the second best one. If you ever watch them, I thought 2 was pretty fucking rough. I thought 2 was, I would put 3 right in the middle. I would probably put 2. I don't know if 2's worse or 5's worse, because 5 wasn't very good either. But, so 5 was kind of it's a poor comparison, so don't take it verbatim it's, this is what this is. But if I had to take the template for what 4 and 5 were, it would be Rise and Dawn. Only 4 is pretty good, and 5 couldn't hold a fucking candlestick to a goddamn sword in being near what the fuck Dawn of the Planet of the Apes
was one of the best movies ever.
Oh yeah. And 5 was maybe the worst of the originals. So I don't know what I would take lower, 5 or 2, but those ones are the villain was terrible in fucking 5. That was the thing. It felt like it was cheap, and it was just another one of the apes that wanted to because they're he's a friend of human. But it was just this darker ape, Yeah. And it was just it was kind of fucking lame, some of the stuff. Because it almost felt like it was, they overcame the humans and everything in 4. They got out, they obviously, since they rose up and everything. And so it was almost like they were living on their own somewhere else, not controlled by the humans anymore, but they had their own village and their own stuff. And the majority of the whole movie took place within sort of that realm, you know what I mean? I'm trying to think if they interacted with people at all in the 5th one. And they may have. Maybe I'm just, I only saw it the once. But 5, I wasn't just that invested in. Caesar was the same guy, and he was just more aged. But yeah, 4 was actually pretty entertaining, and you might even like that too. But just as a template, it's okay, that was pretty good. And Rise was obviously very good.
Yeah.
Not one of the originals I would necessarily take over any of the new ones, for sure. 1 is probably the only one that would maybe have an argument for its originality and when it, came out and everything. But me personally, growing up,
should check out the first one.
Yeah. And I would even say if you did get deeper into them, 3, like I said, 3 out of the originals is probably at 3. It was fine. It wasn't bad. I had far more complaints about 2. What kills me about 2 is it was actually pretty good, and then it got to a point where it didn't make a damn bit of sense what the fuck was going on. None. It was just they walked into this room and people were fucking turning their heads and everything looked fucking It was just I was like, what the, like the movie just fell apart in like the last in the last 25 minutes. The movie just collapsed.
It's like, oh, what the fuck is this now?
It didn't make any fucking sense. And I was just like, there's no, like I said before.
The director's just like, fuck it. Looks good to me.
He M. Night Shyamalan the fuck out. And I just couldn't make sense of it. Here's the problem, is like, and even if nothing comes off the top of your head automatically, again, I can think of a few. But if you build a movie up and it feels pretty good, and it's just like, this is like a good building towards the story, you're waiting for, you know, the epic thing to happen. What you can't do is build it up and kind of make you anticipating like this third act, it's going to be fucking just, you're ready for it. And then it just fucking flops. Underperforms, doesn't make any sense, whatever. We've seen movies like that. Yeah. Whereas you can give us a movie, say it's like an okay story, it's, you know, it's fine, but it's even pretty mid-level. But if you get to that third act and the shit that's been slow burning the whole time just ignites and it's an all fucking out ending, you're gonna feel like you just watched it up a few points. You're gonna feel like you watched a great movie.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna be like, dude, that shit was epic. Even if just the third, the like literally the ending, like the last act, the third act was great. Even if just that was great and the other two were fine, you're gonna feel like you watched a great movie.
Yeah, you're like, oh, that was,
because that was what you're left with, and you're like, that was. Whereas like if you build it up and you're disappointed, it can kill a movie for you.
Yes, sometimes if the ending is just like overly, not like every time, but yeah, a lot of the times if the ending is just, what the fuck was that?
Yeah. You're
just left with a bad taste in your mouth. Glass?
Yeah, that's one of the ones that immediately comes to mind. Or like, I wouldn't say that, you know, and this isn't to compare that, because like, I don't by any means think the first 2/3 of the Joker were mid, far from it. But like, when shit hit the fan in that last act, it was incredible. Yeah. It was like, holy shit. When they swerved you and he was making all this stuff up, and like, and then he shot Murray and all that happened, and then the riots and then the rising up. I was like,
that dude's head.
You were like, I mean, because my argument would be on display more if like it was actually a mid movie. Until then it wasn't. It was phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
But like that last act, even it was already gonna be great in a lot of our minds, or solid at least. But that last act made it a fucking masterpiece. Like it was like, that was absolutely poetic and brilliant.
Yeah, it was a great movie.
So, it just
once he put that makeup on and he dyed his hair, it was like, oh fuck.
Yeah. So sometimes like just that is just the case, and like I'm glad I can kind of put Joker over now too. That wasn't my intention, but just thinking of it, because that was how I hold that movie. Regardless of my score here with the Indy and the Arthur Fleck aspect. But that's a character versus like the movie and what I actually thought. But it's like that could have been solid or even remembered, and we'd been like, oh, that was fantastic. But like the fact that the ending was that all out and everything just hit the absolute fan, I mean, it pushed it over the edge. I think for all of us, because we left there and all of us were like in a daze for what we just watched. Like, I mean, it was also the substances, but it was like it was like amazing. Like we all left there and we were like, we didn't know what to say about it.
It also was like crazy because the way that movie went down, and that there was like a tight security presence at the theater and everything. So like when you left, it almost felt like that shit had happened.
Yeah,
because all that security.
You watch like a documentary.
And you're like, the fuck? Like, are they worried that this is about to pop off in here?
It was kind of it was kind of like making people nervous because it was so psychological and very mentally distraught, film and everything, and with what happened,
and the Joker stuff had happened.
It was just
Yeah, I mean, I understand why it was there, but it just like after that experience in the theater, walking out and like the cops all being there and stuff, just made it feel even like weirder.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That was one of the legendary theater experiences I think I've had, just because of the epicness of the movie, being in shock when you like left. because some of us like the trailers, how like they just tried to like throw you and everything. We're like, what the hell is this even gonna be about? Like we know that he's Joker. What the hell? Like we had no idea from the trailers. Once again, with that too, the execution, the marketing in that movie was perfect. They knew Joker alone was enough to draw people in, and it drew. It was the first rated R movie that ever crossed $1 billion.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is too is like they took the gamble on making most of the story him not even being the Joker.
Yeah.
He wasn't even the Joker until the like the climax, and then he became the Joker. Like most of the time, he was Arthur Fleck. He was just this mentally disturbed guy who's getting beat down by life.
Mm-hmm.
And they took the gamble and made that movie, and people are like, "That was fucking phenomenal." And then he's like, "Oh, that worked. Let me try this."
Yeah. Well, we act like that didn't happen. Damn. What was it? What was the last one you had? I think we were on the ninth
Caesar.
one. Yeah. But yeah, no, anyways, I would I don't know what I would say was worse, the second one or the fifth one though, in terms of the originals if you watch it. But yeah, just know the original, number 1, but 4 is probably number 2. And it was pretty sick, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't that big of a fan of 2 or 5. The other ones I at least liked, and those ones I wasn't even sure if I liked them after I watched them. I was kind of like, I mean, I had to watch them because I had to finish it, but I was like 5. I was sitting in there donating plasma whenever fucking, I was like watching, actually the last couple of this, I think I watched some of 3 in there and some of 5. But yeah, I was just like, oh man. It's just, and honestly, one of the big things, there was something that were like, there was rising up, or just even the humans with the apes and them clashing in the first one and then the second one and everything else. And like, that's one of the things that killed 5 for me, was that I just was not into the villain, like at all. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I was like, I didn't feel the emotional weight either, you know what I mean? Because of some of the stuff that had already happened in the previous ones. So it was cool. I liked that they picked up the story when Caesar was older. I liked some of the premise of it. I think the villain just hit, you know, and it wasn't necessarily because he was so bad, but it was just absolutely no spectacularness to it either. Like, it was just nothing to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the villain has to make a part of the story too.
And he has to have good motivation too.
Yeah.
You know?
I have to kind of understand.
This guy was basically just unhappy that Caesar had a decent relationship with humans.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was Koba.
Well, it was, but because of what had happened to him. Yeah, so you got that background.
Only bad.
You didn't really get that at all with this one.
Yeah.
It was almost like, you're abandoning your tribe of the dog. He was just like, say that. It's like, he just sounded like a fucking idiot, you know?
Like, hey,
I forget even what his... Koba was interesting.
Koba was awesome.
Been through some shit with a backstory.
That scar on his eye, the little smirk and shit when he
I
had
want
that
you to
machine
know.
gun. That was, that is an unstoppable movie.
I want you to know, whenever I said that, it's a template for that. It is, like I said, it is nowhere close to a piss in the pan what fucking 5 was. Like, Dawn would absolutely triple fucking pile drive 5 into oblivion. But as far as that's the aspect of where they were at in where the apes were at in their story, that's kind of what I mean. You know what I mean? 4 being Rise, 5 being Dawn. But yeah, nowhere close. And see, even Rise is a lot better than 4. But 4, like, it was at least cool. Like, aside from the makeup and all the stuff, you know, that you just get past once you commit to watching them and stuff. I like the premise. I enjoyed like the writing was good. That like a lot of aspects of it were still good in the 4th one. I feel like it's just the new ones are so fucking great.
They are.
That it's just
Kingdom was even really good. I need to rewatch that too.
Yeah, no, that's one of the next things I wanted to get to. I'm like, I've been watching some different shit. That's tough, man, because Caesar, even the old Caesar in the old ones was a great character, honestly.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's tough.
Yeah, I like Caesar a lot. Probably one of my favorites.
I might have to say Caesar by a little bit. It's tough. I don't know. That one's another one that I don't know if that's definitive, but I'm gonna say Caesar.
All right, 5-4, the final one.
Fucking Indy, man. He went 5 straight and then 4 losses straight, didn't he?
Yep.
Oh man.
I made that. Maybe I stacked this list a little lopsided.
I don't know.
Because this last one, I don't know if you got much chance here. Indiana Jones or Aragorn.
Yeah, see, Aragorn's up there, man. I don't know. It's either I think in that whole world, Aragorn, including like all the hobbits and stuff too. I think including all them, Aragorn's number 1 or 2. I would maybe say Gandalf number 1, but it's tough. I don't know. I would really have to debate. My favorite hobbit out of all of them is Bilbo, though. And then probably Sam.
Yeah. Bilbo's probably the most interesting.
Yeah. And Sam is my second favorite out of the hobbits. Out of the hobbits, it goes Bilbo, Sam, Pippin, Frodo, Merry. Yeah.
The dislike of Frodo.
Well, I mean, no, I kind of like, the thing is like...
He was kind of a bastard.
He was. He made some stupid decisions, but he also had the ring corrupted him. But, like, he's a little hobbit. He shouldn't have the fucking ego that, like, the men had, or the greed that the dwarves had, or the, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, look at fucking what happened to Smeagol.
Bilbo, it didn't fuck him up at all.
I mean, kind of, though. You see, he was like,
Yeah,
reach for it.
that was actually a creepy-ass moment from that. He's just like, I would sure like to feel it again in my hands or whatever, and then he just starts buttoning it back up, and he's just like, that shit was creepy
it's
as
like,
fuck.
Jesus Christ, man.
His like eyes got bulgy and his mouth got like dark and shit.
Oh yeah.
And he like became another.
Creepy.
He almost had like a little bit of what Gollum had in him in that moment. Like it was, because that thing takes a hold of you, man. It's crazy because like it possesses you and makes you obsess, but at the same time, it doesn't want you. It wants to get back to Sauron the whole time, Because they say that even when Gollum had it and like poisoned his mind, like the ring has a quest of its own.
Because it's like, get me the fuck out of here.
It basically, it's like, yeah, Bilbo had it, but Bilbo found it because Gollum dropped it. Gollum dropped it, like that normally didn't happen, but the ring, they say it like the ring saw its chance and it abandoned Gollum when it had the chance. So like if he, was used to having it and he was just kind of being careless, he just dropped it randomly and that's when Bilbo picked it up. Like by chance, the ring intended to go to the next person,
Yeah.
But that's what the whole story is like, then it abandoned him. I mean, all he did was, he was probably fucking the ring in his cave for 500 years, so doing God knows what.
Man.
Dude, that's the thing. It's like after he touches that thing, I don't know if I want to fucking touch that ring.
Just rubbed it. It's like, what do you... Just sat in a cave and rubbed that ring for 500 years.
It poisoned his mind.
It did.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it took everything from him.
He looked just...
Oh, yeah.
Dude, if you stumbled upon him just accidentally in that cave, you'd be like, oh my God, you'd be terrified.
Well, and that's why people hate Frodo, too, because he had... And, like, I get it, having sympathy and empathy, and for those kind of... Because he stumbled across him, and Frodo had nothing but bad things that he had heard about him, and he literally told him after Sam was like, oh, we should just tie him up and leave him here, or kill him, or whatever. And Frodo's like... He's like, maybe we should leave, but he's like... But now that I see him, I do pity him, because he was clear as day. I mean, he's been through some shit. And also, he's in some of that condition because of what the ring did to him, but once the, Sauron and, like, the orcs and, like, Saruman fucking took him and found him because they thought he had information or the ring on him, I mean, they tortured him. They burned him. They fucking did all kinds of shit to him, trying to get information out of him. And then whenever that happened, the Black Riders went to the Shire whenever they were trying to get out of there, which is why it was probably a good thing to give it to a hobbit.
Black Riders were cool.
Mm-hmm.
Creepy.
But yeah, they tortured the fuck out of him. I mean, Gollum definitely wasn't innocent, but like, you know, we talked about him earlier, but he had his own nuanced story that's pretty fucking, you know, layered and dense.
Cool story.
So, yeah, that's tough. I will say this, is like talking to speeches, you know, fucking, you got Rocky, you got Tony Montana, you got like several of these characters with like epic monologues and stuff. But Aragorn's speech, like at the Black Gate, was fucking absolutely epic.
Yeah.
Where he was just like riling them all up. And the thing is like, they went into a battle. Remember that the sole purpose for that battle, whenever like Frodo, they were closer and closer to Mount Doom, they were outnumbered like at least 3 or 4 to 1. Probably 3 or 4 to 1. They only had like a few hundred or a few, you know, whatever it was, maybe like 300 people or whatever. And like the orcs, probably there was at least 1,000 of them probably surrounding them and shit. And they have some badass warriors and everything, but like the sole reason they went out there is because they knew Frodo was so close to defeating all of evil, and if they just went out there and fucking fought, like evil would be destroyed and they die fighting, you know, basically. Mm-hmm. And like Aragorn was just like I'll never forget like you know, whenever he said, you know, the battle is basically a decoy. It's literally just to keep Sauron's eye fixed upon us. And that's what Aragorn said. And, you know, if we give Frodo his chance and he gets to the mountain untouched, like, he can destroy evil and, like, all this will be done. You know, and we'll have done something for everybody. So he's just like, fuck it. Like, you know, we'll risk all of our lives for him, basically. And, he's like, if we keep his eye fixed upon us, like, we'll give him the chance that he deserves, that he needs to, like, get rid of the ring once and for all. And Gimli's just like smoking his pipe and stuff, and he's like, certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for? And so like they go out there and just way outnumbered. Like Aragorn gives his, you know, his whole speech, and he's like, oh, there will come a day when the just like the community or just the race of men fails, when the towers come tumbling down, when all hope is lost. He's like, and then he like turns to the crowd, like riding on his horse, like with his sword and stuff, and he's just like, but it is not today. He's like, you know, he's riling all the boys, like everybody just up. He's like, they know what they're about to face, and like it's honestly like even to this day, like you turn that up, it's goosebumps, because it's like it's such an epic speech, especially for them knowing that they could be going into their death just for this one chance to destroy the ring once and for all, you know?
Yeah, a lot of those like pre-battle speeches in movies end up being damn good.
All-time shit. Like that Rocky speech, or like some of the monologues some of these like great characters have had, or even some of the stuff like Yoda said. It's like that Black Gate speech is up there.
Yeah.
With all that shit. And you know, I'm like, man, it's I don't know, it was so epic. And like that was, you know, such an epic part of Return of the King as well. And like that truly was, you know, it's like that's what a king would do. He would fucking go out there. He was literally at the front of it, like, you know, so he gave this whole speech, and like they opened the Black Gate and just had everybody poured it.
Degraded it.
And he knew
out in the middle of the battle and fucking did it.
Dude, it was so badass. Like he got done fucking giving the speech and everything, and like, you know, somewhere behind him was like Pip and Anne Mary. And fucking, like, just a whole swarm of everybody, like, they knew they were getting ready to just be iced in battle because they were severely outnumbered. Fucking, like, Aragorn, like, looks behind him, and, like, it's like, just bone-chilling, because he's just, like, for Frodo, like, even though they were severely fucking outnumbered, he just takes everything he's got and just charges into the whole fucking, like, group of orcs, and like, Sam, it's just funny, because, like, Pippin and Merry, like, just go all out and just follow him, and then everybody's just like, ah, fucking. But like, man, I'm like, that was a great leader in like a film like that. I was like, Aragorn was such a rich, you know, character that, like, you know, for the longest time they had called for him to, you know, you need to pick up the mantle and like be in Isildur's heir, like, what's the word? Heir, just heir.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't want it for a long time, because he's just like, he felt like because Isildur went into that mountain with Elrond and he couldn't destroy it, he's just like, that same weakness lives in my body, like flows through my veins, you know, and blood. He's like the same weakness, like just so he had doubt as like even though he was raised by the elves, he was a man, and he just had doubt about like the man that he was, or like not necessarily the man that he was, because he was a great warrior like always, even when he was Strider and not Aragorn, because that was his alias whenever he was away from all that.
Yeah.
But whenever he chose to take up that mantle, and like you saw him kind of lead the pack in the way he led in the Battle of Helm's Deep. I always remember that like line where whenever like him and Gimli are just fighting on that fucking thing, and then King Theoden like opens up that wood board or whatever, and he's just like, Aragorn, Gimli, get out of that, and he just shuts it closed. That shit was awesome though. That was like, but that was the battle that like he fucking stepped up. Even he was the one that gave a speech to Theoden. Just remember, like he was just like, "Is this all they can muster?" And then like 15 minutes later, he was inside, just blank face. He's just like, "What can men do against such reckless hate?" It was just like you were just
like you turned
ready.
So quick.
Yeah, it's like you were just ready to take them all out, and then like 15 minutes go by, and he just like gave up.
It's over.
Yeah, and fucking Aragorn's like in there, and he was like trying to rile him up because he was just like, he's like, they have died defending it. He's like, they are still defending it, like out there fighting and stuff, trying to like talk him back into the battle and everything, which he did, and it worked. And like even props to the king too, because even whenever they celebrated the beginning of Return of the King, he's just like, it wasn't he's like, it wasn't Theoden that of Rohan that led our people to victory. He's basically saying it was Aragorn, like it was his night. He basically took leadership and fucking rallied everybody to win that battle.
Yeah.
And that was fucking epic. Some of this is just us talking ourselves into fucking taking a character over. But yeah, it's and that's the thing. That's a tough one.
He was the man in battle. For sure.
Yeah, he was for sure. I would say, especially because like, it's tough. He was only in those three, and like obviously Indy's got a little more of, he's got a few more films, and he's the lead. Where like Aragorn's he is like one of the very main ones, but there's also just a widespread array of other characters involved too.
Yeah,
they're really, frankly, just as rich in ways as Aragorn is. But I would maybe say Aragorn for self-preference reasons. At least that's how I'm feeling tonight. Was that 5-5?
Yep.
And I think Rocky lost 4-6.
Yep.
Damn.
Some close lists.
Got knocked out in the 10th round. Damn.
Barely. Yeah. Very firmly.
Yeah. Wow. Tough. That was fucking tough. We got some mileage out of that too.
Yeah, we did. It was a good one though.
Yeah.
Some big names, some iconic characters in those lists.
See that Indy and Aragorn one does, but like man, it doesn't fail though. Like by the time when I'm rewatching those and I get to that Black Gate speech, it just always kind of feels that way. Like you see their whole journey going forward. You see him pick up the mantle. And like that's something like an honorable king would do too, even though he knew they were fucking severely outnumbered. He's just like, nobody has to, but he's like, if you would follow me one last time in a battle, like this is it, And I mean, he was right. Like they destroyed the ring just in time. Like literally all the orcs. Like remember all the landscape just fell into like a pit.
Yeah.
Whenever like the ring was destroyed. And basically, like entire Mordor was can't even talk. Was fucking annihilated. That moment that Sauron's fucking landscape was destroyed. Basically, Isengard fell too. Saruman was defeated. Everybody was defeated. I remember
them all up.
I remember you even said like in that opening of the dumb thing I always thought was like when they took out Saruman's death in like close to the beginning of the Return of the King. And then they like didn't even have it in the theatrical version, so you never actually saw like Saruman die or anything that happened to him. It went like it went 2 towers and like the tower, everything. They lost that battle, of course, but you didn't see his fate at the end of it,
which is ridiculous. Like, how would that get cut?
I don't know. I'm like he was a huge character. Yeah. same thing too, and like that's the interesting thing. Going back to Christopher Lee, he was good. He was a good wizard for a long time, and he turned in that too.
Yeah. Turns, man.
Can't trust that guy. So, well, I guess what break we end up having, we can take right now. If you would like to.
Yeah, we can real quick.
Alrighty, so we will be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now back, and it is time before we ring in the night here, officially, wrap it. One round of the good, the bad, and the shits.
Oh, yeah.
To leave the people with. We haven't talked any wrestling tonight. We talked a lot of movie character content, that's for sure.
Yeah. That's another one of our topics conversation on here. You know, I can dive into that. But now we can talk about some wrestling.
Well, which shall it be? We witnessed Elimination Chamber, the John Cena heel turn that we did not know if we'd ever see happens in the last year of his career.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's probably one of the more shocking, moments in history. It's definitely going to be one that's talked about for a long time. It'll be remembered. It was wild to see live for sure. Like once he kind of started going in for the hug, I'm like, something's fishy here.
Right in front. And then when I saw that look, like he was like looking at Rock, I was like, oh no. It just is the thing.
That was it. And then they just beat the shit out of him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, Cody got the hell beat out of him. They busted him open. Open him up!
So, with all of that in mind, what did you feel about Travis Scott's involvement at Elimination Chamber?
Did he hit Cody at all? I know he was like trying to.
Did you not see what the fuck?
Yeah, so didn't some people say he like hurt him or something?
Yeah, he Cody's probably gonna. I honestly hope Cody gets a chance to fuck this dude up at some point. Like, give him something in some match. Because literally, like, when he was down on the ground like that, he was like, side of his head, just down on the ground, like, against the mat. Travis Scott, like, grabbed him by, like, the neck, I guess, and just smacked the fuck out of him. Like, on the ear and, like, the side of the face. Like, damn.
I would have to watch that again, but yeah, that's fucking.
It was like, that's the problem with letting celebrities kind of like get involved, I want to get involved and do shit. It's like
sometimes it doesn't look good.
If you don't know what you're doing, it's one, it's not going to look good, or two, you're really going to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
So it's like,
so it's no good to anybody if you are fucking around.
Yeah.
They get excited and carried away, and they probably don't know, See, like, they don't have that stuff down. Like, even if they're performers, they don't have, like, the in-ring work of, like... We know after years and years of watching, even whenever, we would do our thing, like, that, it was a certain amount of time, I need to sell, I need to do this, I need to, there's a timing aspect is so fucking important in wrestling,
Yeah.
And if everything, it just won't flow right if the timing doesn't work out. Like selling, not selling, when to sell, when to reverse, when to, you know what I mean? Like little things you just know that you just begin to figure out if you're familiar with wrestling and being in the ring, kind of thing. So his involvement, overrated, underrated, fair?
Yeah, like, I guess I didn't necessarily mind, but it was like, I also didn't feel like, one, he really had to be there, and two, that he really added anything by being there. It was just kind of like...
I think The Rock is probably like, oh, my brother Travis Scott! Like, he wanted to make it feel kind of like more star-powered, I guess. I don't know.
Or like, if that's just what this faction is, it's like, it's the Hollywood, like, guys that
I don't know if it's a faction. Maybe Rock Cena, but like I don't know if Travis is actually gonna be like, all right, he's coming.
I don't know. I've heard that he's training apparently some and shit, and like he's got that hardcore title, so maybe he brings it back.
Oh my god, that would be fucking wild.
That'd be so
if he
good.
stays involved in this shit. I didn't really think that much about his involvement. I mean, I was there, I paid attention, like, we all watched it, but I wasn't I didn't really think it was going to be anything with him involved beyond that night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was just what I thought. But I also, and I saw Summer Raw. I didn't finish Raw, but I saw like a lot of highlights, and obviously I saw that Io won the belt. Crazy.
Yeah.
Didn't see
that was wild.
That necessarily. I figured she would get involved and become a triple
awesome,
threat.
Yeah,
but I didn't think
at least she would be added to the match. I didn't think she'd be walking in as champ.
So is Rhea gonna be in it and it gonna be a triple threat? You think?
I don't know.
I hope.
Like after the match, she was like beating herself up. She's like, "You idiot!" Like to herself and stuff. So she's like, I don't know what.
Because it's like otherwise, it's like
now.
You drop the belt right to Io right before she defends it against Bianca, and then what? Bianca just takes it right off of her.
That's what I mean. I don't know what the plan is now.
So,
what if Io ends up winning that match? Like, I don't know. She lost last year to Bayley, walking in as champ. It almost feels like it'd be pointless to put the belt on her to have her drop it at Mania.
It feels like Bianca wins
like
damn near all of her WrestleMania matches.
She does.
So it's like.
But if Bianca didn't take the pin, then you say Bianca never been pinned at WrestleMania.
Well, and I mean, you could also keep it going between, her and whoever wins, or you know what I mean.
I don't know really how they do it. It was definitely a surprise that that's the way they went with it.
Do you still think the angle between Seth, CM Punk, and Roman's going to happen? Or do you not know what to think about Roman's?
I almost feel like that's the route that we're potentially headed, but I don't... Because I don't actually know if...
And Roman's not been there.
I don't know if this Punk... Rollins cage match is actually going to go off without a hitch next week. I don't see
it's not going to be definitive by any stretch.
I see something happening with that shit. Maybe Roman. Maybe Roman comes back and does something. Maybe or Heyman does something, or I don't know. But yeah, I'm like, there's no way that's you guys next week you settle it in a steel cage. That's it. No, there's no way. That's it. Something's happening.
Yeah.
Next week, too, like Logan Paul and AJ Styles are supposed to face in Madison Square Garden, and I was kind of hoping that was going to be the Mania match. I'm like, so what are they doing with either of those guys at Mania?
And you don't want to see it burn before Mania.
Yeah. So does something happen with that, too? Maybe, because that was the thing, is AJ Styles kind of just made it seem random. Backstage segment on Raw. Next week, I'm going to show Logan Paul, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, so does that mean that Logan Paul's going to be like, fuck you, or like jump him or something, and then it's going to get serious,
Oh, boy. Is there going to be another Madison Square Garden, or not Madison, is there going to be another Saturday Night's Main Event before Mania?
I hope not.
Because it almost feels like it kills, it's like, you're almost like,
I don't think so.
It's
because
not.
They haven't done it since the Road to WrestleMania. Like Rumble was the last time they did it, right? The one like right before Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they'll do one again until after Mania, probably. Hopefully not.
I don't like that at all. Because especially if they're like, well, the title's gonna be defended. It's like you're at a point where, like, here's the thing. We know nothing that epic of consequence is going to happen because, for one, for lack of better analogies, you're not going to fucking blow your load before fucking it's time for the big showdown. You know what I mean? And at the same time, why are you going to do it? Because if it's not that, then it's just like a striptease. You know what I mean? Oh, well, let's see what might happen. What the fuck are we doing? Why are you even doing it? Just save it for the big event. And I don't have an issue with Saturday Night's Main Event, but like, don't put matches that look like they're going to be consequential to the next stuff. Like I can see if somebody does have a prominent match, put them on there, or have another test for somebody that's getting ready to face somebody for a big belt, kind of thing. But like, further the storyline, but don't defend the major belts right before the big event. You know? I mean, maybe occasionally, but I also don't think if like you already got something set with one of the guys, it kind of, if you have something else set ahead of time, it is a conflict of interest in ways. You know what I mean? Unless that's the swerve, like the Rhea thing. You know, kind of the how they're like, oh, it's gonna be Bianca and Rhea, and then she loses the belt the next night or 2 nights later. I don't know. I think I don't have an issue with doing it, but I think some of the matches they're booking for it are kind of, there's something left to be desired.
Yeah.
I feel like you could have got some of the you can get some of the feuds over more instead of trying to do something that's,
I mean, it's kind of exciting because, I mean, if it all comes together and looks good at the end, it'll be like, hell yeah. But it's a little bit exciting that this Mania feels like sort of unpredictable.
Yeah.
You know? Like, that's kind of the double-edged sword. You get one or the other. It's like you get it where you get some great matches, but the card feels pretty predictable, like a month out, or you get like the card might still look good, but it's maybe not it's more confusing and not as great built stories because it's unpredictable and kind of thrown together later.
So let's just assume Cody...
There's still like a handful of matches that have already been made at this point.
Let's just assume Cody and Cena main event night 2. So what main event's night 1? Gunther and Jay, or a potential Rollins, Reigns, CM Punk triple threat? Or do they swerve even more than that, or like, oh, Charlotte and Tiffany are going in last tonight? You know?
I think Charlotte and Tiffany...
I think that's got a better shot going on last than whatever the match is going to be on the other side, women's, the Bianca. Yeah. Because it's almost, that feels more... not thrown together, because I'm sure they've had a plan, I guess, but that feels kind of more like this kind of just came into being because Io just picked up the belt too. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like a...
Yeah, I feel like Charlotte and Tiffany will be second to last night 1, and then Gunther and Jay will be last, and that
even if they do that triple threat,
leave people like, like pumped up, and I think the triple threat will be second to last night 2.
You think?
Yeah, I think you open the show probably with the women's triple threat night 2. Maybe. This is how I would lay out the card. I'm not saying this is how it's actually.
I don't know if they'll do...
I think that you leave night 1 with the feel-good moment of the whole Yeet celebration. Everybody in the fucking stadium. Oh, Jay fucking did it. He's got the title. That's the ultimate moment. You can't really top that when you do it on night 1. That's
And that'll be the way that he gets his... To be honest, if they don't go on last, I'm gonna have a fear that he could potentially lose.
Yeah, if they go on last, he's almost certainly winning.
But if they don't,
yeah, if they open the show,
yeah. Do you if you do that triple threat, which I'm still not for?
I don't really know how they need to sell me on obviously, these guys are all great, and the match is going to damn sure deliver, but it's like, I need to know why it's happening, I need to be sold on why this is a thing. I get why Rollins and Punk don't like each other. I get why Rollins and Reigns don't like each other. I know Punk and Reigns don't really, they don't
see eye to eye, but
but they're just like, fuck you. But it's like they have no real reason for all these guys to be like, we're all gonna fight each other in the triple threat. Rollins has problems with all of them.
No title match, no sort of anything. You know what I mean? No faulty thing that led to them. It being, because that's what usually happens is something happens in a match with 2 of the 3 people beforehand that ends somewhat faulty or fishy. And then they get involved into the, you know what I mean? Like when before the Benoit main event in WrestleMania 20 with Triple H and Shawn Michaels, those two, like, last man standing match, beat each other to a bloody fucking pulp, and, like, both of them couldn't answer the count of 10. So, like, Michaels didn't lose, Triple H, winning as champion, but they both, got double counted out. And, so basically, like, Michaels just got his way into the match because he it was kind of a faulty finish, really. Like, he didn't actually, officially lose. So he deserved, there's always a way to get somebody in.
Yeah.
But I can add to the match. I always fucking think of that. Like, honestly, around Mania season 2, because he's like, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Kurt Angle versus Randy Orton. He's like, I can't change that, Ray, but I can add to the match. But it was kind of goofy because it's like he earned it with the spot, and then he loses it to Randy, and then he just puts him in it, and it's like.
That was stupid as hell.
We
gotta make Randy look good still going in.
I still think what they should have done, and I know it was personal, and like he said the whole Eddie's not up there in heaven, he's down there in hell. But like it should have been, it's like, okay, Ray wins, he gets a shot 1-on-1 with Kurt, right? Randy says even this crazy shit. Or like even attacks Ray or does something, and instead of saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna put my," because I know that's the more, "Oh, I'm so pissed and fighting for Eddie's memory that I'll put my shot on the line." But it should have been like your singles match. If you can't beat Orton, becomes a triple threat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then he could have lost it, and it was like,
then
you would have been like, "Fuck!" Like he's really fucked now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now it's 2 main event guys that have held the world title, and the odds look even more stacked against Ray.
Yeah.
So it's like,
but I mean that's definitely the way. Like the way that it was.
Yeah.
Was like, come on.
I'm like,
that's this.
They could have, but
just
it just
to make Ray look like shit.
Because it was kind of just goofy because he fucking lost like definitively, and then Teddy just adds him back in, and it's like, well then now it looks like he didn't even earn it, even though he did earn it.
Vince wanted any guy that he wasn't personally wanting to push. The same thing with Daniel Bryan. Right before he gave Daniel Bryan his major crowning moment, Taker lost the streak. He's like, let's deflate the whole fucking crowd before we give him his moment.
Yeah. But it's like, oh, yeah, but Ray's been one of our best workers for years. The crowd loves him. He's a merch seller. This and that. They're like, plus, he was really close with Eddie. It's just a work, pal. He didn't earn it. It's just like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. We know that there's an argument to be made that he was positioned, not that Ray wouldn't have deserved it or earned it at some point or whatever, but we know he was elevated to that spot because of his relationship with Eddie going into that Mania.
Yeah.
Like, if that had not happened, that wouldn't have happened.
He earned it, but he wasn't going to get there because of Vince.
That was not going to happen prior to Eddie's passing.
Yeah.
I'm glad, like, they wrote the story how they did and everything, and it was really cool and stuff, like, after that happened. But, it doesn't take a genius to kind of figure that out either. And I do wish that, like, because John obviously was kind of his era, and, like, he was the man and stuff, so they put him and Triple H on last. But, like, I really still think he should have went on last with Ray in that Mania, too.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with Triple H and Cena. It was fine, but, like, the moment I felt like was for Ray, and I really wish that had been the end. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, they deserved a longer match, too. That match should have been at least 6 minutes longer than it was.
Yeah.
But, yeah, what do you think, Travis Scott?
I'm going to say fair in the hopes that I don't know if it's played to a degree where, like, it's not going to look bad and he's not going to hurt anybody, and it's not a weight on the story and, like, negative,
Yeah, and just kind of being there. It's like you got Cena and Rock, like, they don't really need.
But if it just kept to mainly a limited / one-time only type celebrity appearance, not saying he won't ever.
He might.
But
write Cena's new heel song. That'd be kind of dope.
yeah, no, he should. No, he should come back as the Thugonomics character for 1 month out of this last fucking run, because that was like the best shit ever.
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah, this heel stuff I hope is kind of completely different than anything. Just because, like, I feel like this run, like,
he's got to come out to Thugonomics.
This story with Cody, he needs to be like a darker, more grizzled, like a veteran. That's like, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck it takes to win a world title. I don't give a damn about what anybody thinks, what anybody wants.
Yeah,
it's
gonna be
my
fun.
Time.
It's gonna be fun for sure. And he wasn't even on Raw, was he?
He's probably not gonna be there for a minute. I think he left right after Chamber, back to like South Africa or Morocco or something, filming a movie. So I don't think his next appearance is for another like 3 or 4 weeks. That's what I've heard.
Damn. I hope the last few weeks going into, and like, not that I want the whole heel run to be.
I kind of hope that they're saying that swerving us and he shows up randomly one night.
But I hope before this year's over, he has like a little bit of a run, or at least another where he comes out to that song and like does it one more throwback, you know what I'm saying, to it. The Thugonomics character and stuff. Whether that's like he's heel for a while, turns back face, or does like a little stint in that, or whatever he does. I'm like,
I think he'll turn face before he's gone again, obviously, the last couple months maybe, but he'll probably run heel for a minute now.
Yeah. I hope so.
Like,
'cause that was a huge shock.
And the thing is, a lot of these dates, because he said he's working like 60 or 70 or something dates, a lot of these dates are happening after WrestleMania. So that tells me, that gives me more of a, like, thought in my head, like, that he might actually win the title. If he's got a lot more dates lined up even after Mania, and he'll be around more, then that makes sense that he'd pick up the belt there, because it would be a shock. It's like, fuck, he came in here as like a heel, said fuck everybody, and took the belt, and see you later, that's Mania. That'd be crazy. I don't like... I was talking to Tyler about it earlier, and he's like, you know, he was like, I just don't see Cody like losing at Mania. It's just, he's like,
yeah,
I mean, I don't really know either, but Cena entering heel makes it more likely for that to be the case.
Yeah. Well, because especially if they do this kind of thing and the odds look stacked up against him and everything, and it's, you know, it's his Rocky 3, man. I was telling you, we'll see.
But he's like it's like every Mania basically that Cody's had, it's like the odds are stacked against him. He's got to overcome it.
But I will say for sure, like, especially if we're starting to feel like Cody is retaining, then I definitely think Jay is going to win. You know what we could see is shades of, and that'll never be said on air for obvious reasons, but you know what we could see is shades of Eddie and Benoit at the end of WrestleMania 20 is Jay and Cody both celebrating if Cody retains in the main event of night 2, and him coming out to celebrate with him.
Yeah.
And them with both titles. I could definitely see that happening.
That would be cool, yeah. Jimmy's just like...
yeah. Oh,
should give Jimmy like the U.S. title or something, man. Fuck. Give him something.
Jimmy, he missed a step. Like, honestly, a lot. Like, what seemed like once COVID happened, or even before that, my timing could be a little off, or during COVID, whenever, like, Jimmy got hurt, and then Jay was he started to become part of the whole bloodline thing, like, to the nth fucking degree and everything, and they started making it a thing. The fact that Jimmy was out almost felt like it pushed Jay a step ahead that Jimmy just never caught up to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It felt like a slight edge to me, because even throughout the whole bloodline thing, people were a little more excited and a little more pumped for Jay in most of what his position was during it. You know what I mean? It just felt like ever since then, he's just always been a punch ahead of where, and then now it feels like it's a bigger gap than ever between them, to be honest.
Well, you know what? I hope Gunther kicks Jay's ass again.
Dude, I was watching him in his match though, and I'm like, he is like, and I knew he was a good talker, but I'm like, he's still so like believable.
Oh yeah,
of just
great.
a villain, and like I'm like he is tremendous. So I'm like, there is a part of me too that I'm like, I don't necessarily hope that he loses, but I stand by what I've said all these weeks about.
He's likely gonna
yeah,
lose.
I stand by what I said all these weeks about like, okay, like you gave him it, he earned it, he's been here, he's done all this stuff, but if you piss it away, there could be no way back from this. For like I can just see it. If they flop it, it's gonna ruin him. It's gonna.
Yeah.
If you pull it out now, that's a. I'll be like, everybody will be like, is Vince? Everybody will be like, is Vince still running the show or what? Like it'll be fucking. It'll be weird.
No, they won't do that. I mean, we saw Cody got his like. This is Jay's WrestleMania year. This is his moment. He won the Rumble. He's gonna win the world title. He's gonna get his moment, the main event. He's earned it. He's been around a long time.
So you don't think that that triple threat, if it happened, would go in last?
I think there's a good chance that it would have a prominent spot night 2, either the match before main event or right around the main event, like the co-main event, or it would be the lead off. But
I don't know if you put. I mean, I could be wrong on this too, because then it feels stacked. But like in a way, those 5 guys are like 5 of the biggest names in the entire card. I don't know if you put those all on the same night. If the triple threat happens, you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, you can still stack some good stuff on night 1, but yeah, night 2 would have some of the star power for sure.
I think because that's like the 5 biggest on the card, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing. And they did that the one year where they're like, oh, and night 1 had way more fucking banger matches on it. I said that, and that's how it turned. Not like the 2 was bad, but there was like that triple threat with Sheamus and like Drew and all them. It was that was going through, wasn't it? And that was a hell of a match. But like, but then the night 1 had like 4 bangers on it, and like night 2 had like the triple threat and like Cody and Roman, and Cody didn't even win. That was triple fuck with cheese.
It was Brock and Omos, bro.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Piss break second match. That's who goes on second. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. It's kind of a bummer to be second sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's some dope shit on second though. That's like
not that it's terrible, but
Mania,
they will put on the less urgent stuff. Let's be kind to people get to put on second regardless or whoever it will be. But it's like it's kind of like, all right, first one's the impression, you built the show up, now you just hopefully the second continues the momentum. Doesn't have to, But they also try to do stuff purposely where like after the Taker thing happened, okay, well, we're gonna put this on. And I always remember you guys saying like nobody gave a shit about the next match after that.
Yeah.
What was it?
I don't know. It's like an AJ Lee match.
Oh. Yeah, I think Steven said he's just like, I couldn't fucking tell you a damn thing what happened in that match.
The streak, and then maybe it was like
they just deflated everybody.
Deepest tag match, and then it was like Daniel Bryan's moment.
Can you imagine what it would have been like? They just ripped your soul out and like Daniel Bryan lost the main event.
But he still won the title.
And they ended the streak and you're just
there
like,
you go, WrestleMania 30.
They probably would have been like, that was the worst WrestleMania of all time. There would have been people that would have been pissed.
It is like an infamous one, but it's looked at decently fondly nowadays, I think, like Mania 30, because there was a lot of big shit that happened still, but
Steve and Hulk and Rock came out and had their beers, said their shit. In the Silver Dome, brother! And then they both poked fun at him for that.
The Silver Dome. It's like, no, it's not what it is.
Because fucking Stone Cold came back and he's like, it sure as hell is great to be back in the Silver Dome. Just fucking around. Oh, shit.
Well,
yeah, no, fair if his involvement is like kept to a limited capacity and he doesn't overextend what you think like a celebrity should probably do, like especially if he's not capable of doing it. But I just got the impression that he was only going to be maybe a piece or that night or whatever. I could tell the way they did that too. They wanted a million fucking one pictures just of that moment. Rock and Cena line, Travis Scott there, where it just looked like a stunning holy shit moment.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, honestly, the other thing having Travis Scott there is it's gonna like bump that to like mainstream people more. Oh, Travis Scott, what the hell is he doing? Like that, more people are gonna see that if he's in it too.
Yeah.
And it just looks like, craziest thing you ever seen. Yeah.
People that don't watch wrestling.
Exactly.
But the wrestling fans, like, you're taking away from the moment, man.
I think he was kept to, he probably, whatever he was doing.
Yeah.
He was
burning sage and shit.
But I don't think he, like, took away from the moment at all. Because, I still think...
it's still a huge
I still think
moment.
Rock and Cena shine through their... people were shocked enough that Cena, like, did that.
Yeah.
Especially as but that's the thing, all of our attention was focused on Cody. And people, like, theorize, like, the whole couple weeks or whatever. But, like, nobody really thought too much outside the box. Like, they're just like, oh, man, is Cody going to do this? Is Cody going to do that? Or,
Yeah.
But I would say fair as long as it's, like, kept to a understandable capacity. How about this? We've been talking about it for weeks, so I'll just throw it out there. If they intend on doing this potential triple threat match, none of these guys in a world title match or main event, possibly, / more than likely. What do you think of that? What do you think of them having this position over? And I'm a proponent for fucking, like Roman. I'm a fan of Roman. But I don't want to see him in every fucking main event, so at least him, he don't need to fucking be there again. He's been there like every year for the last like several.
Yeah, I think Rollins will get his main event. I think Punk probably will next year.
That's crazy, because it's like he's going to be several years in again by the time he is able to do it.
Yeah.
If he holds up.
And I think if they could sell us on a good story, I'd be down for this match, because I'm like, it could be a great match in itself. Like, I have nothing against the match, but it's just like, yeah, these three guys are so prominent that I want something big to happen for me to be like, oh, fuck, yeah, now I really want to see this.
And to be honest, like, if you're going to sell us the story with nothing on the line and it being, maybe they do have some storyline stuff, whatever, but like with nothing actually sort of on the line or like a contract or an opportunity, the belt or anything like that, you got to give a good reason for none of these three. You really do. None of these three who are all capable of main eventing a Mania to not. You know what I mean? Not any of them this year. So it's like, you got to give us a good... Like, they need to make a masterpiece of a triple threat match.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be fantastic.
They really do. And I'm not saying, any less I'm going to be disappointed. But you have got to give us a damn good reason why this is happening, a good story, a good lead-up, and honestly a great match. Which they're all three capable of doing.
Yeah. But
I'm for this if it makes sense and it's executed perfectly, but it needs to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it needs to be... I don't have a doubt that they'd be able to put the match together. It would be great, even regardless of whoever wins. I honestly hope that they have some really clever ending if they end up doing the triple threat that makes it, you know what I mean, like a controversial, but yet we have a winner. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, so to where you could have seen any one of the guys winning, or like somebody may have gotten screwed almost, or it looked like it. But that's the beauty of it too. Triple threat, that's no DQ. So we could see an all-out fucking war between these three.
I know. I'm sure that's what I mean. The match could be awesome, and I think if it was on the card, I would really look forward to it.
Yeah.
But
could be the best match of Mania.
I just want it to be, a story that I'm like,
it has a good reasoning
I'm looking
for
forward
happening
to it. Like, the match itself, I'm gonna like. it's how I kind of feel about Charlotte and Tiffany. I'm sure the match is going to be great, but I want a little bit of a story here. Besides Charlotte coming out and just judging Tiffany after she gets beat up. Yeah. That's like all we've seen so far. It's like, I want a little more than this, man. So that's just what I feel about some of the Mania stuff so far. It's like, some of the matches I'm really excited about how the card could potentially be built. I'm like, oh man, some of these matches look great. Some of this could be awesome. But like some of the build has left something to be desired in certain departments where you're just like...
Yeah, there's still... That's what's uncomfortable is there's still too much uncertainty.
Yeah.
So you're like,
What's going to end up... Yeah, what's going to end up happening here? But yeah, I think that the Seth... I don't know what people really see about it.
I think it's
Seth
important.
Punk Reigns match. Like, are people angry about it?
I think it's important to note, too, it hasn't been confirmed.
Yeah, it's just speculated at this point. Anything could happen.
But that has been a strong rumor with everything I've heard. Some people, I have heard a lot of people back what, like, it's not that a lot of people are highly against it, what I've seen. But I have heard a lot of people say what I've said, what we talked about too, which is they're like, have Rollins and Reigns do a one-on-one. A lot of people are for that, is what I've seen too.
Well, what do you do with Punk?
I don't know.
I say the triple threat, I say it's fair. Like, if there's not a bigger position to put those three guys, putting them together and selling us on a story could be a good idea. The title pictures are pretty much already booked up.
Yeah.
So.
I think, honestly, it's kind of being set up to have that Chris and Eddie almost moment. Because if they both have the belts at the end of night 2, and, like, I could totally see that kind of thing happening.
Yeah.
Nobody will be able to say that. But, yeah, I mean, But it's like, but they'll finally get what they want. They'll be able to recreate the moment. And, this is what happened. Oh, the two champions celebrated. Oh, this is the first time this has happened. So they can try to recreate what they're trying to do. But we know better. But no, I mean, but I could see that happening. And it would be pretty cool as long as everybody's not. I think the thing is I think Cena turning heel gave us all the ammunition we need to still stay invested in a face, even though some people will say, some parts are better than others, or it's staler now than it was, or whatever. That gives us all the ammunition we need to stay invested in this Cody face champion storyline, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, regardless of what Cody's doing or not doing, he doesn't even have to do much. The fact that Cena turned was enough to keep everybody just all eyes on it. You know what I mean? So it's like they really kind of did themselves a favor and don't even really have to take a risk now because Cody's just got to be himself and Cena and Rock just got to keep executing this angle with Cena as a heel and, it just will go.
Yeah. It's shaping up to be interesting for sure. Cena and Cody sounds like a pretty cool main event. And
that's a truly this last face, because Roman kind of became the face as being a heel, but nonetheless he was the face sort of, and he still kind of is overall in his era. But it'll kind of be really cool because this past generation's all-time babyface versus kind of like now, which is Cody, and it'll be a true match between them two. You know what I mean? It'll be cool because honestly, like John, and I think he deserves it. I think that's whether he wins or loses, the fact that he gets on the main event of like night 2 of WrestleMania in his final Mania would be fucking awesome. For him to like main event one more time.
Yeah.
The very end, not many people get to have that. But I mean, Taker technically got that because they even said the graveyard, or what the hell was it? The Boneyard match. He did go on last with Styles in that one, even though it was cinematic and everything.
Shawn did.
Yeah, Shawn. Yeah. People got to.
Yeah. Well, that was Sean's overall last match, though.
Mm-hmm.
Won't be Cena's last match, but last Mania, if it really is. Start the conspiracy theory.
I think it will.
What if he's a heel, and he just at the end of the year he pulls a Jordan Belfort, and he's just like, I'm not fucking leaving.
You know what's crazy?
I'm staying.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep kicking ass. I'm at the top of my game. I'm gonna keep running this business.
I'm winning
championships.
That's funny. I think though, even if he loses his heel Cena, I still think sometime this year he's winning the world title.
Yeah, there's a good chance of it.
Yeah. I think there's so much. What's funny is I was just thinking about this fact too. Is like they turn him heel and like after launching and setting all this the last time is now merch, and he just switches. So like everybody's starting to buy all the stuff, and now he's like instantly heel like during his last year. But that Elimination Chamber performance was like definitely his best. Like he looked the best. It was his best. Like he actually won the damn thing. I was like, yeah. I'm glad for his last run. He is like even up to this point, he's being because now he's almost certainly going to be the night 2 WrestleMania main event.
He's gonna start getting booked like John Cena again.
Yeah, that'll be cool. That'll be cool. So soak this up. Yeah. I mean, because I love Cena, but you're even bigger Cena fan than me. So that'll be fun to watch. And I'm sure, honestly, he'll headline a few more events before the year's over too.
Like SummerSlam, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Will be in
maybe another one
match.
somewhere in there. Well, I mean, if he does become champ, he'll probably have to defend it a few times. So. Mm-hmm.
Have a Ruthless Aggression pay-per-view
That would be
December.
Sick if he has it though and he defends it against Punk. Like what if people are calling for that? What if he has it somewhere in between there and him and Punk face at Money in the Bank again for the world title? Could you see it happening like this long after?
Heel Cena.
Kind of like play his greatest hits and be like, well, we did this way back when. Let's run it back one more time at Money in the Bank.
It could be cool if it did happen.
Mm-hmm. I could see it.
I think that if Punk gets a shot at the world title, the WWE title, it makes more sense right now that he would face Cena more than he'd face Cody, you know?
Mm-hmm. So, somebody had to turn. That's what I kind of feel like. And I'm like, this is arguably like the coolest thing they could have done in way like. Because, I mean, I was for Rock being on the card, but obviously, you know, it doesn't look like we're in that situation. But with all these guys, especially because, like, Seth, Roman, and Punk, that's the interesting thing about them. They're all good enough to be able to lean into any of the face stuff, the heel stuff. They can even get away with tweening and shit like that. Because they all can be heels to each other. That's the thing. None of them are like afraid to play dirty and fucking break the rules kind of shit if it's because the other, you know, because basically all 3 guys in that equation bring out the worst and best in one another. So it's kind of like they are heels to each other.
Yeah.
It's like.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. They're just each other's like kryptonite.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I kind of enjoy about like the Rollins Punk thing is like, I don't really hope they feel the need to necessarily change either of them or like make either of them feel more like, oh, this is the person you should cheer, this is the person you should boo. Like,
let people decide.
Yeah, I think they should just continue to make them despise each other, but like also be kind of good guys, you know? Because we need more of that, like, rivalries where people just, like, have animosity towards one another, but they don't necessarily have to be like, you're a good guy and you're a bad guy, you know?
Yeah, no, I think that, like, the better the character, the more you can lean in and lean out of that in ways without being, you know what I'm saying, like, without, like, selling out, because, like, people will still be, because, like, if you really are that for Rollins and you're against Punk or somebody else, you know, like, you're gonna be kind of going that way anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was cool because like they didn't.
Me and Tyler were kind of like fucking with each other on the phone, like, oh no, fuck you.
Yeah,
he's gonna win. No, he's gonna. Because I mean, I really like Rollins. Like I probably would personally root for him in that match anyways,
Mm-hmm.
but like it's more fun to poke with Tyler because he's such a Punk guy.
Yeah.
That it's like anytime like now that Rollins and Punk have this feud going on, and I'm like a big Rollins guy, and he's always been the Punk guy. It's like this is fun because it reminds me of the days of like Cena Punk.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I used to be all about Cena and he was all about Punk.
Yeah. Well, and he was like, he liked Cena, but he's just like, oh, against Punk, there's no way I'm taking him.
Yeah, he liked Cena a lot. He went for him most of the time, just he couldn't with Punk.
Yeah. Yeah, he wants him to get that big Vic, but he's got the rug yanked out from under him too because he's not seen the big Punk payoff like in that type of match since he's been back. But see, that's the same thing. It's just like, you know, you got to kind of yank it away from him first, like, because it's the payoff is always sweeter, like once they finally get there, you know. So we could be looking at a lot of that. I mean, we waited for that for Cody. We saw the same match 2 years in a row. And then he won it the second time.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the thing. You knew damn sure he wasn't losing that one.
Yeah. We were hoping, at least.
I wasn't certain, but I was like, there's no fucking way.
You could tell that Ricky didn't even fully believe it as much the second time. Like, you could tell he was trying to stand his ground just because Reigns is his boy, but he knew deep in his heart that he was getting that belt pulled off. Dude, but that's the thing. Before Rock and, like, they were going to step in and do, we're going to do Rock Roman and stuff. It's just, like, how long would he have held on to that title? Because, like, I don't think he was going to, like, Rock was going to, like, beat him for it.
Yeah, that would have been crazy.
Would have been way too long.
Going into this Mania. Reigns, Cody.
No. Never. Don't do it. Definitely don't do it at WrestleMania.
But I mean, like last year, if it would have been Rock, Reigns, then you would.
It would be
this one,
interesting
Reigns,
to do it like sometime, like another event, like, you know, Reigns, Cody, maybe for the belt with Cody defending it, but like not at Mania, like, you know, another pay-per-view or even SummerSlam or whatever.
Yeah.
You know. So it's like the storyline is switched a little bit, but it's a different thing.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it shapes up. It's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be, you know, keeping Rock and Cena and like all these guys involved, and like Punk actually gets cool on Mania this year.
Yeah.
Dude, he has not been on a Mania
since 29.
Since he faced Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. 12 years it'll be.
Yeah. Wow.
I know. We'll see how the hell it goes. All right. Well, it's about time.
Yes.
It's about time.
Get some sleep.
I know. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sticking with us. Listening to our movie characters segment. And we hope everybody's enjoying themselves out there. We got more guests coming to you soon. We will keep in touch, stay in touch. If you feel the need to reach out, do so. And we will see you guys on the next episode. Take care out there.